乗り越えてやっぱいい結果を残したいし、みんなに喜んでほしいというのもあるので、やっぱそういうところはあまり見せないようにして、ちょっと僕の活躍している姿をみんなに見せれたらなと思ってます。はい。
Bueno, los rivales de la Copa de Naciones este año es el más alto que he visto en mi vida. Cada año sube más el nivel, lo digo siempre todos los años, pero cada año sube un poquito más. Y la verdad que es cada vez más difícil estar ahí arriba.
Jose Serrano pulls a blinder and wins the grand final of the Nations Cup here in London.
To prepare yourself mentally is pretty difficult to be at your maximum between the games online season and also on the World Finals. So yeah, for me it's the most difficult because you need to be consistent every time on games, so you need to prepare yourself every day. It's difficult to explain that for the spectators, but the drivers, you tell that to all the drivers, everyone will understand that.
Kylian Drummond takes victory for Subaru here in Berlin.
I feel like my most challenging aspect, I will say, is my mind. It's always the mind. I think it's always where everything comes from. And let's say also what your heart says, because in the end, you try to listen to your heart instinctive and you want to be fast. That's what the first thing you say. But then it comes to the mind and says, you gotta control yourself. And sometimes you have to, let's say, listen to both things, but try to have a match.
Jose Serrano makes it 2 wins from 2 races in the Nations Cup.
What audience don't see and drivers do is basically in racing in general, you have to stay focused, you have to apply so many techniques. People that watches racing in general may think that it is kind of easy, but when you really do it, it is not. You have to race people going side by side, you have to know when to brake, you have to know what line to take, and that's hard to acknowledge, and that's the fun part of it.
Inestrosa versus Carranza, Porsche versus Toyota the victory, and Inestrosa wins the grand final here in Los Angeles.
So in terms of pressure before starting a race, I think the points, they are what they are. I would not feel more nervous just because I know I have to get more points. I don't think it's the main factor. I'd say like you always want to perform well, so you'd feel more nervous just because you want to do well than rather focusing only on getting that specific points to get that to a specific position. So I think you always try to do your best.
Pol Urra, he comes across the timing line to take a commanding victory.
今年のドライバーの戦略の設定で驚いたのは、我々は事前にこういう戦略で来るだろうという予想の図とかを作ってるんですけれども、例えばソフトが3周しか持たないっていう風な予想をしていてでも彼らはもっと伸ばしてきたりとか、ワンピットは絶対あると思ったけど全然ピットしないでレースを終わらせてやったりとか、我々の想像を超えてくる走りをしてくるっていうところにとても驚いています。
We go racing for one final time in 2025. Porsche will lead the field across the line, followed by Honda, followed by Subaru, as the grand final for the Manufacturers' Cup is underway. As they go side by side with one another, we come through in towards the third sector, into the braking zone. Around the outside goes Spinelli. Contact there with Mazda. Porsche become the Manufacturers' Cup champions of 2025.
チームの力はどこよりも強かったと思うので、優勝できたことをとてもほっと思ってます。
We go racing as the grand final for the Nations Cup is underway. Jose Serrano leads them across the line with Miyazono, Gallo and Pol Urra for company.
Will Gallo try and hold the position? He does. He's looking to get him for 3 and then goes side by side, breaking down though. But there's the soft on tyre. Oh, Wise goes through one.
Here is Jose Serrano, wants to keep Miyazono down into the chicane. He's got the inside line and now he takes the race lead. Jose Serrano wins the grand final and becomes the Nations Cup champion of the world in 2025.
Bueno, la verdad que la temporada ha sido increíble, casi perfecta. Estoy muy contento sobre todo por mi rendimiento. Creo que ha sido el mejor año que mejor he rendido, así que muy contento de ser campeón del mundo.
その船をこう守るための覚悟というか、その船をきちんと運航するための努力とか義務みたいなものをね、選手たちからも感じますね。だからなんかね、みんなでこの巨大な船のクルーとしてこの船が世界のあちこちに安全に迎えるように、だからみんなでね努力している、頑張っているって感じがしますね。
Welcome to the Gran Turismo World Series Nations Cup Round 1, coming to you live from Milan!
Ciao a tutti, benvenuti, finalmente ci siamo, il primo round comincia qui in Italia, a Milano, fatevi sentire, vai Milano!
Gran Turismo World Series has come to Italy, so I mean you guys are doing us proud. This is one of the best audiences we've ever had.
Avete capito cosa ha detto? Ha detto che siete il miglior pubblico che abbiano mai avuto. Grazie Jules, grazie, grazie.
This is your hometown, right?
Yeah, I love Milano, I love Italy, I love my people. So for me it's a pleasure to be here with you on stage.
We're going to have so much fun. The Manufacturers Cup was brilliant. Some amazing racing. Did you enjoy the Manufacturers Cup? You need to translate that.
Yeah, you don't need me.
Actually, some of the guys, obviously some of the competitors and people actually had a little journey outside of Milan, did they not? Had a little visit to a certain factory, I heard.
Sì, hanno fatto un bel giro perché i player e ovviamente la stampa hanno visitato Brembo, e facciamo un applauso per Brembo perché è una grande realtà italiana nel mondo, e quindi hanno avuto questo piacere.
I mean, look, so it's a little ways outside of Milan, and obviously Brembo is a partner. They look like they're having a great time, got a whole tour of the factory. You guys like Brembo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, they do. Yeah.
our people.
So obviously had like a lot of what happens with Gran Turismo World Series is the guys actually get to go out and have a look around the town. So they've been having a lovely time in Milan, from what I've heard. It's been almost like a holiday.
Assolutamente sì. Milano è contenta di avervi qui, di avere qui Gran Turismo, perché veramente è un gioco incredibile ed è qualcosa di magico.
I mean, I've just been working. Barely been out. Anyway, it's not about me at all. Now, obviously, with every Gran Turismo World Series round, we'd like to give away a few little free things as a little treat for just coming along and joining us. So why don't we take a look at what you can get just by watching the show?
Don't forget, you can jump into the World Series action too. Inside Gran Turismo 7, head over to the bonus campaign and select the Winners Campaign banner on the GT7 world map. Predict the winners for a chance to win 1 million, yes, 1 million credits for both the Nations Cup and the Manufacturers Cup. Just imagine what you could spend that on. And remember, voting stays open right up until each of the grand finals begins. Good luck. Watch the World Series broadcast through GT7 and you'll unlock some special in-game rewards through the Viewers Campaign. Tune into the Manufacturers Cup and you'll receive a Toyota GT199. Watch, claim your rewards and enjoy. I mean, free rewards are very hard to say no to. So don't miss your chance to grab them.
Yes, we love to give out some free stuff. But I think it's worth mentioning to the crowd, because obviously they're here right now, they're not watching online, but actually maybe it's worth letting them know that you can still claim your rewards after the event.
Assolutamente sì, potete comunque godere di tutta l'esperienza completa di GT7, quindi insomma è pazzesco, è veramente pazzesco.
Just in case they were worried, they might have been worried they were going to miss out.
Non preoccupatevi, tranquillamente. Bene.
I mean, I think, just as a little refresher, it's round one. Everyone's forgotten what happened last year, I mean, if they could. So we put together a little, just for you, Brian.
Sono veramente curioso di sapere cosa è accaduto nel 2025.
Just a little season recap so we can get up to speed, yeah?
Good evening and welcome for Gran Turismo World Series. It is time for the Nations Cup. And let's introduce you to our 12 competitors who are here tonight.
2025 marked the 8th year of the Gran Turismo World Series, and round one kicked off in the United Kingdom.
And London did not disappoint, and we were treated to some incredibly tight racing.
In it as we come into the first corner, Serrano defends Urra, looking for the outside line. That's going to be brave. Can he make it stick on Serrano? He slides. Is that moment over? But Jose Serrano pulls a blinder and wins the grand final of the Nations Cup here in London.
Round two took us to Berlin, Germany, where we had some exciting battles, and we also saw the start of the Spanish dominance.
Serrano leads, but Urra's got the inside line here on Kaiderbrin in the middle sector. Can he make it stick through into the left-hander? He can! And Gallo's there as well. De Bruyne loses 2 places. Jose Serrano makes it 2 wins from 2 races in the Nations Cup here in Berlin. What a performance from the Spaniard.
Round 3 in Los Angeles was a bit of a banger, as Pol Urra managed to stop Serrano going 3 for 3 and also got the sweet taste of vindication for his little bit of a slip-up in Berlin.
In we go to the first turn, Urra on the inside, no such bother though for Pol Urra. He comes across the timing line to take a commanding victory. Pol Urra wins World Series 3 in the Nations Cup in LA.
And so here we are at the World Finals in beautiful Fukuoka, where anything can happen.
Here comes the Jaguar, here comes the Mazda. Through they go, past Inestrosa.
One straight going to the final corner. Jose Serrano wins race 1. Second race underway. Drummond is side by side, and Miyazono is in there as well. Drummond is way off onto the car park. Serrano is the lead. Now Miyazono through it into second, and Drummond banging into the barrier. Pol Urra goes defensive then. Gallo looks to pull to the outside as we come under the bridge. In towards the chicane, he goes to the outside line. That's brave as we come over the chicane. He manages to make it stick. Serrano, though, out of the final turn. He's going to win race 2 for one final time in 2025. We go racing as the grand final for the Nations Cup. Serrano has got the inside line, and now he takes the race lead. He will become his own champion in his own merit as Jose Serrano wins the grand final and becomes the Nations Cup champion of the world in 2025. Absolute domination here in Japan.
It's time to meet the 12 drivers that will be competing in the Nations Cup here in Milan for the opening round of GT World Series 2026. First up from Spain, it's Samuel Moreno. The 18-year-old rookie is also competing in the Manufacturers' Cup in here tonight, and he was second in the regional qualifying sessions which took place earlier on this season. From Brazil, Lucas Pinelli. 37-year-old makes him the oldest driver on the grid here for the Nations Cup. He's a two-time GT World Series event winner, however, and he would love to add to that tally here today. The returning Ryota Kokubun from Japan. He missed 2025, but he was top in the Asia regional qualifying sessions earlier on this year. Let's see whether he can bring the fight to the front in 2026. From Canada, it's Samuel Cardinal. The 19-year-old is a one-time event winner, and again, he was top qualifier, this time in the North America region. Adriano Carrazza from Brazil. He's been here since the very first year in 2018. He'll be seeking his first podium, though, since the showdown back in 2023 in Amsterdam. '21-year-old Kai de Bruin from the Netherlands. He took his debut podium in the grand final of the Nations Cup in London last year. 11 career top 5 finishes to his name as well, as he looks to add to that tally, not only here tonight, but for the remainder of this season. Guy Barbara from Australia, the 29-year-old, he's still chasing his first Nations Cup podium, but he's tenacious. 5 career top 5 finishes to his name so far. And the hometown hero, Valerio Gallo, to the applause of the crowd here today. The 2021 Nations Cup World Champion. His last podium was in Berlin last year, and you can see just how much he is adored by the fans here in Milan. From France, it's Kylian Drumont. The 22-year-old, it's his 4th year of competition, and he's won 8 events in his short time so far. '23 Nations Cup World Champion as part of Team Spain, it's Pol Urra. He's a 4-time event winner in the Gran Turismo World Series. He would love to add to his tally here tonight as he enjoys the plaudits of the crowd here in Milan. 2-time Nations Cup champion Takuma Miyazono. He's not won since 2024, but the Japanese driver will be coming out fighting here tonight. "19 wins to the driver's name. Let's see whether he can add to that tally, get his season off to a strong start here in Milan. And last but not least is the reigning double GT World Series champion with 2 Nations Cup titles to his name, Jose Serrano. The Spaniard makes his way onto the stage. He won it once in 2023 as part of Team Spain, and he won it last year as well. He's kicked off tonight with a strong result also in the Manufacturers' Cup. Let's see whether he can continue that form under the lights here in Italy. Well, those are our 12 drivers. The fans are watching on here in Milan, and we are excited to get action underway for the Nations Cup here for the first time in the 2026 season. The crowd full of anticipation. Now we ask you to please stand if you're able for the national anthem of our host nation here in Italy.
words to this. I only got the but in the middle. But like, seriously, I'm getting patriotic and I'm not Italian. That was like wild.
Devo dire che Jules ha apprezzato davvero il nostro inno, soprattutto quando facciamo
That's the bit I know, the bit. That's the best bit. It's great. I've never seen people so excited to shout and do their national anthem. It's amazing. This is going to be really great. Nations Cup is a really, really special thing. We've got a couple of like older faces back in the mix, so we're going to see how that goes.
Andiamo a vedere come funziona qui a Milano la Nations Cup.
But of course, first of all, we need to kind of break down like what are the rules, because you can't have a good, competition without a good set of rules so that it's all done fairly. So let's see how it's going to break down.
The Nations Cup features 12 of the best drivers in the world. Following the 2026 Online Qualifiers, 8 countries will battle throughout the season to earn World Series points. Spain leads the field with 3 drivers represented, while Brazil and Japan bring 2 competitors each. For today's race, the competition begins with a 1-lap time attack. From there, the field moves into the sprint race, where a multi-make battle will determine the starting grid for the grand final. World Series points will be awarded to the top 6 drivers. Alongside earning the maximum 6 points, the winner will also take home the trophy and be crowned the Round 1 winner of the 2026 Nations Cup World Series.
Well, yes, we're down on the floor with Takuma Miyazono, who, if you've watched any of the Gran Turismo World Series, you will know. Hello, Miyazono, how are you?
どうですか？元気ですか？
いや、もう緊張して吐きそうなんですけど。
I'm so nervous I'm about to throw up.
会場の雰囲気がもう本当に今までで一番良くて、すごい選手冥利に。
Yeah, I've never seen a crowd this excited, and it makes me feel good to be a competitor here.
This is your 1 millionth Gran Turismo World Series. You should not be nervous. You're going to be fine. You know you're going to be fine.
もう100万回グランツリスモのワールドシリーズで走ってるじゃないですか。そんな緊張する理由全然ないじゃないですか。
いや、やっぱりこんなに応援されるの嬉しいですけど、なんかインタビューが僕じゃなくてバレリオの方がいいのかなってちょっと思ったり。
Yeah, but it's great to be cheered on like this, but I feel like that you should be interviewing Valerio, not me.
No. But also, is it not more nerve-wracking to race around the Nürburgring, because you did that recently? That seems like it'd be scarier than this.
ニュルの方がでも緊張して結構あっちの方が神経使わないですか？
いや、正直両方たくさんのお客さんの前で走れるっていうのは同じなので、もう本当に同じぐらい緊張してます。はい。
Yeah, I think in both events there's so many spectators with their eyes on you that I'm nervous in both.
How did you enjoy driving around the Nürburgring? Was it fun? Is that the right way of explaining it? Was it fun?
でもニルは楽しめて走れましたか？
楽しんで走れたところもありましたけど、やっぱり夜とか雨のセッションは全然経験なかったのですごい怖かったんですけど、すごいグランツーリスモの経験が役に立ったと思います。
Yeah, Nürburgring, there were fun parts of it, but sometimes at night, sometimes in the rain, there are scary moments, and driving in Gran Turismo all these years really helped.
See, but what's scarier, Nürburgring or Gran Turismo World Series?
じゃあニュルとグランツーリスモワールドシリーズどっちが怖いですか？
両方。
Both are scary. Okay, all right, different levels of scary. Well, let's give him a big round of applause. Takuma Miyazono, one of our best drivers from Gran Turismo World Series. Please go take a seat. Oh, right, I think it's time probably to get it underway, really. We should probably just get this Nations Cup started. Let's throw it back up to Tom and Jimmy.
Well, I'm loving the crowd here. I'm also loving that Gran Turismo menu.
The menu.
Phenomenal.
So good.
I saw some of the things that were on that earlier, actually. It's absolutely brilliant. It's like if you want to try your friend's car, it's like 300 credits or something like that.
Too much.
Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, looking forward to getting the Nations Cup action underway then here in 2026. I mean, if you look to last year, of course, we had Jose Serrano, who went on to take the title in dominant style in Fukuoka. The question is, can he do it again?
Yeah, I mean, there's no argument who the home crowd are cheering for here today. Such a huge amount of noise coming from just above us. We're down in the basement. We're used to being down here, but amazing support for Valerio Gallo. That's got to be worth a couple of attempts at least.
I really hope so, because the crowd will probably take the roof off at the Teatro Linico here in Milan. Now, of course, it's not only the World Series here in Milan that continues throughout 2026. We're going to Singapore later in the year for World Series 3, and if you want to get some tickets and see how to get involved, have a look at this.
The Gran Turismo World Series is coming to stunning Singapore for the first time.
will be at the Sands Theatre on Saturday, 3rd October as part of Grand Prix season Singapore. Check grand-turismo.com from Monday, 25th of May for tickets and to find out more about an exciting Singapore Regional Time Trial Challenge on GT7. See you in Singapore. Yes, we will see you in Singapore. Anyway, a bit too much Tom voiceover there. It's from Tom into Tom and then back to Tom.
I've got to listen to him like here and there. It's the worst.
Thanks very much.
Hangover's terrible.
Nine years working together, and this is what it comes down to. Anyway, let's move swiftly on, shall we, and have a look at the driver lineup for 2026 in the Nations Cup then. So these are the 12 drivers which you'll see at every GT World Series event in this category. And as you can see, some familiar faces in there, a couple of returning ones as well. Ryota Kokkonen, keen to see how he's going to get on. What about Valerio Gallo on home soil? Samuel Moreno, he's a new face. I don't know how this one goes down though.
These guys are all like exceptionally fast. I know that sounds like a given, but the thing is, over the years in Gran Turismo, I feel like the level of competition has slowly risen. Like, you know, not dramatically, but at the point now we have the best of the best all squabbling with each other, and I cannot pick from that list as to who I would go with for this event. I mean, luckily I haven't got to do that. Of course, we have qualifying to help sort that out. So, yeah, qualifying at the at Monza. Where else? It's only down the road from here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. This is in the Red Bull X 2019. This took place earlier on today. It was a one-lap time attack, and it's the venue where we're going to host the grand final for the Nations Cup later on here tonight. And here is how it all went down. As you can see, one-lap time attack doesn't leave much opportunity in the way for error. This is Samuel Moreno, the newcomer from Spain, who was very fast across the timing line in that X 2019. A 124 was the benchmark for the rest of the field to beat. So not a bad start to life there for him. The question was, though, how quickly would we see that time being toppled? You see Kokkonen, Benelli, Gallo, De Bruyne, all established names, not able to depose him at this point.
Yeah, Kylian Drummond, who we know is pretty quick in the Red Bull X 2019 there, taking the least possible distance to the start finish. So set a very competitive time, first man into the 23s, and we thought that was going to be it.
Yeah, it certainly did. However, never discount the likes of Jose Serrano. Who else could it be? The reigning champion. Fellow Spaniard, of course, to Moreno. He came across the timing line and managed to get the better of Drummond, as well as Moreno, to take provisional pole position right at the very end of that session. Strong start to life then for him. He is quite literally riding that crest of a wave, and he will line up for the qualifying race, the sprint race, in a few moments' time on pole position.
Yeah, also to note that Guy Barbera and Carazza there having their lap times deleted for trap limits. So the worst possible start for these two. But we know Guy Barbera, he likes to fight from the back, doesn't he? So if you're looking for some elbows out action, just keep an eye down the bottom there for the Australian driver.
Absolutely, and also it's not only the grand final which is coming along the way, because that qualifying order sets the grid for the sprint race, the first race here tonight. And obviously, being Gran Turismo, we had to turn it completely on its head. So gone is the X 2019, gone is Monza, and we've got cars that have got no downforce, and we've got a completely different circuit as well.
Yeah, I think cars that range, I mean, from the 30s to the 50s, inspired by the Mille Miglia. We have an awesome lineup of cars here. And in terms of circuit, we're going to Sardinia, Road Track A, which isn't probably the name that rolls off the tongue the best, but it is a great place for overtaking, that long run down towards T1, a perfect spot to try and outbrake your competitors. And when you're driving cars like this, the braking zones are pretty huge, Tom.
Yeah, they're not going to stop all that well, I would imagine. So we're going to see some interesting action out on circuit, I would imagine. As you can see, no downforce at all, because they're production cars, and they're all from the 50s, 60s, and also the 1930s, and some of them in the 20s there as well. They're all inspired by the Mille Miglia, the 1,000-mile race. This is one that we picked out for you, the Porsche 356, an absolute work of art. However, it's going to be a tricky thing to handle in those high-speed corners.
Yeah, and you've got to think, it isn't just a matter of, like, we haven't got downforces, but also on tyres from a long, long time ago, before really, you know, we had good grip, the crossfire, bias-fire style tyres. We have about 180 horsepower, so that really does make things tricky. And now, a couple of years ago, of course, Yamauchi-san right here on stage actually took part in the Mille Miglia alongside Igor Fraga, past Nations Cup champion, current Super Formula driver in this lovely Alfa Romeo. Is that an 8C or a 4C?
4C.
You know more than me, he's more of an Alfa man than me, but yeah, heavily inspired by this event. And interesting to see how our competitors adapt to what is quite a unique car for them in this competition.
Yeah, grueling race is the Mille Miglia. You can see just how much the Italians absolutely adore it, though. So, 3 drivers that we think are the ones to watch here this weekend in the Nations Cup. Of course, reigning world champion Jose Serrano. Who else could we pick to kick things off? Valerio Gallo, 2021 Nations Cup champion. He's going to have that home support behind him. And Samuel Moreno as well. Very impressive pace that we've seen from the young Spaniard so far. Could he be a man to watch out for tonight?
We've always seen historically Pol Urra sort of being the rear gunner for Jose Serrano. Of course, a bit of Spaniard compatriotism there, but Moreno, I think, maybe showing the pace to maybe he'll be filling that role and maybe being sort of second fiddle to Serrano. But he's not here for that reason. They're all here to win, of course. We have 12 of the most talented drivers in the Gran Turismo world right here, right now, and about to do something they probably haven't done before. No, it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. That's along the way in a couple of moments' time, but Jose Serrano, as we know, he's the man that we've been talking about throughout the entirety of this evening in the Manufacturers' Cup, and I'm sure tonight here in the Nations Cup as well. He's the reigning world champion. Have a look at this as he recapped his win from the back end of last year in Fukuoka.
Bueno, no tengo palabras para describir todo lo que siento ahora mismo. Acabo de ganar la Copa de Naciones, campeón del mundo, ayer también campeón del mundo. Los 2 títulos se ven a casa. Gracias a todos por todo el apoyo durante todos estos años y nos vemos el año que viene.
Yeah, it was domination from Jose Serrano in Fukuoka. You can see there he won the Manufacturers' Cup for Porsche, won all 3 Nations Cup races. I can't remember the last time we saw that in the GT World Series, if ever, certainly on the way to a title.
I do. It was Mick Kazal.
Oh, there we go, 2019.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, quick Mick. He's around here somewhere, but he's not competing, unfortunately.
Do you know, I think he's going to be joining us, though, in the Nations Cup.
Oh, really?
Race.
Oh, goody. We can remind him about that. He loves that. But our drivers now getting their last little bit of practice. This is really the first time the drivers get to feel the atmosphere of the event whilst driving the cars. So it's sort of a twofold style of practice. One, car has to drive the car. 2, can I deal with this pressure? And seeing a lot of wheel movement going on there. These cars move around a lot in every stage of the acceleration there. And there are a crowd there. They've been absolutely amazing all day so far. Great to see such a passionate crowd here in Milan. I have a feeling anytime we see anything happen with Valerio on the circuit, they're going to absolutely explode. There's the menu. It's back. The menu's back.
Fantastic. Right, let's go down then to Brian and Jules as we get ready to get the sprint race underway here for the Nations Cup in Milan.
We are just moments away from the Nations Cup start here at Round 1. Are you ready, Milan?
Milano, fatemi sentire!
You ready? Let's hear it. Let's do some racing.
Have you ever heard a crowd like it? Phenomenal. I am so excited to see what is going to happen here for this sprint race. We're at the Sardinia Road Track A layout. We're in Mille Miglia inspired cars, and this one is going to determine the grid ahead of the grand final. So 12 drivers lining up for this, and here is how it all breaks down. They had a qualifying session earlier on today which determined the grid for this race. As I said, this race is going to determine the grid for the grand final. Jose Serrano in the Aston Martin DB3 on pole position, with Kilian Drumont in the Porsche alongside. Samuel Moreno, the newcomer, third on the grid for the Spaniard, with Takuma Miyazono nipping at his heels. Next up, you've got Ryota Kokubun returning after a sabbatical. He lines up P5 with Lucas Benelli in the Mercedes 300 SL, the Gullwing in P6. Hometown favourite Valerio Gallo, to the roar of the crowd here, has got Pol Urra for company in the Alfa Romeo alongside him. Then it's Kai de Bruin in the Jaguar D-Type in 9th position, with Samuel Cardinal completing the top 10. Guy Barbara lines up P11 for the Australian nationality, and then Adriano Carrazza completes the grid in P12.
Did I see that Gallo had his luggage with him there? In the back of the car there, just to make sure he had something to eat when he got around. Interesting.
Yeah, this is going to be exciting to see how it all breaks down. So it's a 10-lapper here. It's a rolling start for the drivers as well, which should spread the field out relatively evenly down towards that first corner, which will be quite handy because I imagine it's going to be a big difference in stopping distance compared to the Red Bull X 2019s, of which they qualified.
Yeah, there's a lot of different weights and powers here. Some cars absolutely rapid in a straight line, some very light as well. So we're going to see a real mix down towards T1, and I have no idea which way this is going to go. But that's why Nations Cup is so much fun.
Absolutely. Well, there is Kylian Drumont as he just takes a breath, as well as Valerio Gallo, the hometown hero, with so much pressure on his shoulders, lining up P7 on the grid here. An opportunity for him to move forward and secure a good grid slot ahead of the grand final in the Nations Cup. But who wins this one then, as we get ready to go racing? The sprint race here at the Sardinia Road Course is underway, with Serrano leading the field across the line, followed by Kylian Drumont, who slipstreams his way into the lead already as we come in towards the first corner. Keep an eye out for Moreno as well, who's looking to his outside. Miyazono there on the inside in fourth position as well. So it's Drumont that leads, Serrano into second, Moreno into third, Miyazono and Kokubun trying to squabble for places, as well as Pol Urra making some ground. He's up 2 from 8th on the grid into P6 at the exit of turn 2.
Here comes Moreno up the inside maybe of Serrano, going into the middle part of the circuit now, side by side the Ferrari and the DB3, just about keeping them out the door of each other. I'm just hoping they don't hit each other here. I mean, I know of course these cars are virtual, but there's something in me which says, man, there's a lot of money on this grid right now. As you watch Moreno just about stay ahead of Serrano. Drumont though in that 550 Spider, a lot of pace in that thing, very quick in the straight line, very light, and maybe that was the car of choice around here.
Yeah, the drivers who qualified higher up the order got first pick basically at the cars for this one. So if you, for example, if you were Jose Serrano, you got first pick, and second for Kylian Drumont, etc. So that's the way that he's gone with it. Drumont it is that still leads by 0.3 of a second. Battle for P2 though, very much underway, because you've got Moreno side by side here with his compatriot Jose Serrano. Miyazono's keeping a watching brief. Drumont's deep though into the left-hander. That's opened the door for Moreno to walk through it and take the front of the race over from the Frenchman.
A little bit of contact there between the two of them, but that's just racing around here. Of course, these cars move around quite a lot in the braking zone, so it's quite hard really to predict where they're going to be at each particular point. But what a sight that is! All different manners of shapes and sizes working their way through the S's. Now to one of the heavy braking zones here. Now these cars really lazy on the brake pad. We've got to give it a lot of time. You see Moreno going a bit wide, Drumont going a bit wide, Serrano is up the inside there in the Aston Martin, and we get a great view alongside the on board the 356 with Takuma Miyazono, of course, someone who's won this Nations Cup outright before. He's been pretty much every position on the podium as well, so he knows how to win a race here. In the background, Gallo there, making a mistake, touching the wall there in the Mercedes and just slowing himself down the straight. You see, even these little kinks are quite considerable corners for these cars.
And look at what it's done to him. It's left him right under pressure from the likes of Ryots Kokubun and the prevailing field as well. They're about 1 million wide down this start-finish rate. Gallo's got the inside line, but he's going to drop 3, maybe even 4 places here as he's down to P10. He was 7th before he made that mistake across the line. So it's all changing at the sharp end of the race as well, because Takuma Miyazono it is that now leads from Samuel Moreno. How did that happen?
I think we're too busy watching Gallo there having his incident, and Miyazono took advantage off camera, and up he goes there in that very pretty little Porsche. So up to first base goes Miyazono from Moreno from Urra. Where's Serrano? Serrano is down in 9th position, so something must happen there to Jose Serrano.
Yeah, you'd imagine there must have been a bit of contact which has sent the Spaniard tumbling down the order, which is not great at all. Let's wait and see what happens. Yeah, Drumont and Serrano under investigation for a collision, so you wonder whether one of them has outbraked themselves and nerfed into the side of the other. We'll wait and see what happens. I'm sure we'll get a replay, especially if any penalties are awarded. Either way, at the sharp end, it's Miyazono now from Moreno and Pol Urra, who's elevated himself up 5 places. So what happened here between Drumont then and Serrano? So they split Moreno down into turn 1. Drumont on the inside. Serrano there as well. And they just, there was a bit of contact on the exit of the corner. So Drumont dropped down and Serrano also losing out in the process.
Yeah, very tricky there. I think they just got caught out by the lack of straight line speed there from that 550. Sorry, no, it was Moreno, from the Ferrari. So they just ended up going each side of each other. But meanwhile, Miyazono leading from Urra and from Moreno. 2 Spaniards hounding this car. This is where we're going to see a difference in the straight line speeds here. Gallo, interesting, has made his way back up to 5th place there after his incident on the first lap. Here's on board with Takuma Miyazono how he went from 4th to 1st in one corner. So we're going to get down on T1. Moreno just slows down that car, runs out of acceleration. They'll have their accident, and Miyazono goes, well, thank you very much, mate. I'll take that. Up to lead I go.
Problem with Serrano there is he's on the outside, and you're always leaving yourself vulnerable to situations like that. De Bruyn's picked up a penalty for a collision there as well. He's in P4 as it stands, but will drop down the order, you would imagine. Top 3 looking to try and break away in all the chaos that's unfolding. We begin lap 3 with Miyazono still in front from Moreno and Urra. So good starts to the race then, as we said, for Moreno and also for Pol Urra, as well as now Kai De Bruyn. De Bruyn, though, as we said, with that penalty, he's going to surely drop down into the coattails of Valerio Gallo, who, let's not forget, a couple of laps ago was 10th across the line after he lost out following that mistake. And he's now managed to get his way up into P5 with a nice comfortable cushion over Serrano behind.
Yeah, I mean, of the front-running cars, you wouldn't put really Gallo in that Mercedes in the same bracket, would you? It's a big old thing, but it seems to be running well in 5th position. Miyazono still leading this train up front. And I do enjoy these races where we see the different cars and different strengths and weaknesses. It's very Gran Turismo for me. It's what the game's all about. As watching Moreno now maybe make a move on Miyazono. We know that Ferrari runs that off top-end speed a little bit as we get up to the braking zone. Miyazono managing to hold him on the outside now, and you see pulling back past. And that's going to be a bit of a difficulty for Moreno, but he's got the brakes. Up the inside he goes, and up into the lead goes Moreno. So you're seeing the differences there. Moreno's car much better on the brakes in the corner, and Miyazono having that straight line speed advantage, but with half the circuit being straight, you have to wonder which is a better one to have.
Right, let's have a look here at Kylian Drumont, who's attacking against Guy Barber and Jose Serrano. Oh, more contact there down to turn one. He's way too late on the brakes and biffs it into the back of Adriano Corazza. Barber then gets into the side of it. The C's part for the Spaniard as Serrano goes through on the inside, and Drumont just looking like he forgot the pedal. Phenomenal.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I've made that face a million times. I'm like, oh, oopsie. But, it happens. Like, this is what I was saying about the brake pedal. Like, it's the braking distances are so much longer in these older cars. It can catch you out. It really can, especially when some of these cars are better than others. And we're seeing now Miyazono absolutely rocketing by Moreno as he's just stuck there in 5th gear, nothing else he can do. No more top end speed, but then on the brakes he's right back there again, and so is Pol Urra there, up on the inside. Pol Urra in the 8C Touring, and man, doing it in style is Pol Urra.
I love seeing Pol Urra coming through on the inside. He looks like he's an LA gangster or something in that blacked out machine as he scythed his way through on the inside. Said, hello, there we are. Gets the position on his compatriot and is through for 2nd position as well. Look at the top 3. They've managed to build up 3.5 seconds over the prevailing field. De Bruyne and Gallo are the next targets, and they're a fair chunk down the road. This is good for Valerio Gallo and possibly his grid position for the grand final. He's now all over the back of De Bruyne, who's just served that penalty following the contact that we saw.
Watch this straight line speed of this Mercedes compared to the D-Type in front. I mean, bear in mind, there's about 20 years between them in terms of age, but Gallo there just showing, what, here we go, choo-choo, thank you very much, mate, off I go, I've got another 20 or 30 horsepower on you. It's only got 4 gears though, I think. No, he's got, I thought he only had 4 gears there. That's over 200 kph in something from the 20s. Not something I like to do, and then trying to outbrake a D-Type into the braking zone. Big shout from the crowd there as Gallo gets it done up into 4th position. So he'd be a bit upset, I think, Gallo, because that first group has broken away, and I think realistically, unless he has a really good run now, he's going to struggle to catch him, and Serrano also recovering in the background there. But 4th place isn't a bad start.
No, 2nd row of the grid for Valerio Gallo at the moment as Kylian Drumont picks up a penalty for that collision that we saw a couple of laps ago. Meanwhile, all change at the front then as Pol Urra is through for the race lead on Takuma Miyazono. So again, this story continues changing. And let's see whether we're going to get a breakaway here, because Pol Urra trying to build out a gap. What he'd love is Moreno and Miyazono to start fighting. But the straight line speed of the car that Urra's in there looking pretty handy as it stands for now.
It does, but Miyazono also in that Porsche, again, very quick down the straights is that little mini Porsche there. So up the inside, outside I should say, goes Miyazono in the 3.56, going to have a little look. Oh, there goes Moreno too. So yeah, there really is a top end for these cars. Maybe they run into the limiter in a certain gear. It's so interesting to see as Gallo has to defend from De Bruyne there in the background, just about doing so, I think. But Miyazono, Moreno and Urra covered by only 4/10 of a second right now, and seemingly with no one blinking. On board with Pol Urra. Look at this beautiful interior in this thing, man. The craftsmanship in here. All of that being thoroughly ignored right now, while Pol Urra just wrings the neck out of it, which is exactly what you want to see in these races.
Just to give you an idea, by the way, of getting these cars into Gran Turismo, it's very much an expedited process. It takes an awfully long time. You know, there's thousands, tens of thousands of photographs that have to be taken of each individual car. That's not including, of course, sourcing those cars in the first place. Then, of course, it's got to be scanned in the game, and it takes such a long time. So the level of detail is absolutely phenomenal. Meanwhile, Moreno, not worried about the detail of the interior of his car. He is worried about the race lead, though, as he goes through on Miyazono once more, uses the advantage there of the slipstream. So that's good news for him. But I think it's going to leave him vulnerable again coming on to this next straight, isn't it? That's the problem with that Ferrari. So he's got to make up time on the brakes, but the question remains, if we get to the latter half of it and when we go through to those final couple of laps, is he going to be in a position to attack for that race lead, or is he just going to run out of puff?
I don't really know. I mean, we've seen that the Moreno think he just gets past the start-finish line, and the car starts to give up a little bit. So Miyazono's got to be close and have a good move. So because the Ferrari's good here out of the corners. He's got really good punch out the corner. It's light, it's nimble. But about now to get into fourth gear, the Porsche, which is also light and pretty powerful as well for what it is, starts to reel him back in, plus the draft as well. So let's get a little dress rehearsal. It's pretending to last lap. The start-finish line's under that little gantry there. Would Miyazono make it? No, not quite. So that's good for Miyazono to know. Like, if I need to be closer than that on the last lap if I want to win this race. So those little moves like that, it's all part of the game.
Guy Barbara's having a good one as well. He's up into 7th position from near enough last on the grid. He was P11 where he started, so he's worked out quite nicely for the Australian driver. You see Samuel Moreno's pre-race ritual, taking a full nap and waking up just 20 minutes before qualifying. That's the Kimi Räikkönen strategy.
Well, it's working so far. He's fighting for the lead here in one of the most prestigious sim racing events in the world. So you can't argue with that, can I? Can you really? I mean, here's Miyazono, Moreno and Urra all on your screen there. You're seeing the picture-in-picture of Serrano working his way back up from 6th. He is catching Gallo, I think, but not by enough at the moment. Actually, at the moment, fast person on track is Moreno, the only man to go into the 159s. So a lot of pace up front right now.
On board here we are then with Valerio Gallo. All on the outside there, De Bruyne directly in front of him. This is where we know that Mercedes is quite strong, and it might leave De Bruyne vulnerable here to an attack from the Italian driver. The crowd are going to absolutely love this as he sends his way to the inside. Over the crest of the hill we go, into the braking zone. Gallo is through for now on Kai De Bruyne, but is De Bruyne going to be able to use the nimbleness, the agility of that Jaguar to try and launch the attack? Look at how much better it is mid-corner in particular. Just can get that car rotated and turned so much tighter.
I mean, what do you expect? You could fit one of those in Gallo's car. Like, it's a huge difference there. In fact, I was surprised Gallo got out of the way if he could even see him going down the straight there. Here is Kai De Bruyne. Here's his POV. All he can see is Gallo's luggage there. Wonder what he's got in there. I mean, that's maybe a question for the live chat. Have fun with that, moderators. So Kai De Bruyne trying the outside line there, but Gallo just parking it. You don't want to be there. There's a barrier waiting to collect you on the outside there. And yeah, I mean, Gallo doesn't really have a choice but to park it, to be honest. That thing's so heavy.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the different peaks and troughs. It's like watching a good revival race this, where you've got certain cars that are quicker in the corners, others which are quicker in the straights. And you can see visibly how much the advantage is there for Valerio Gallo as he just pulls away with ease from Kai De Bruyne. This is Guy Barbara in P7 at the moment. Cockburn and Benelli close behind on these battles on the fringes sort of of the top 10. Cockburn looking to try an attack here on Guy Barbara. Just gets out of the throttle, goes for the outside line on the curb. We know that's brave. Can he make it stick though as they run side by side with each other? So the Mercedes there on the outside. Barbara has the inside, which is going to flick back to the inside line there for Cockburn, but Barbara's not giving this one up. He's still parking his car very much in the places where Cockburn would like to. Down the back straight we go, into the left-hander. Barbara manages to hold off the charge for now, but it could open the door possibly for Lucas Benelli behind if they keep squabbling here.
Oh, Cockburn's going to get it. He's been there side by side the entire time there, just trying to set himself up, but now, of course, he's on the outside for the next corner. There's Benelli there as well as we come in. Next corner's the left-hander. Guy Barbara just alongside enough to maybe keep the move. And Cockburn, can he? No, he can't. And now running side by side. And Benelli behind's loving this. He's right there now in that Mercedes. And they've got their straight line speed. They're going to shove their way past Guy Barbara. And Cockburn up to 7th. Will Benelli be able to maybe mug Cockburn as well in the straight line in the draft as well? These guys side by side at 200 kph. Braking zone coming up. It's a left-hander. Barbara's got the advantage. He's going to try and split the two of them. Benelli's looking at the outside. That's not going to work, mate. And Cockburn finally is clear of Guy Barbara. And that all started at T1, putting the car around the outside. Beautiful racing from these guys.
Superb. Absolutely superb. Some of the cleanest battles we've ever seen in the GT World Series in some of the hardest cars to handle. Cockburn into 7th place there, but Barbara not ready to give this one up. He's surely going to launch an retaliation if he can. Down the back straight. Not going to be close enough for a move on the inside as it stands for now, but Benelli there ready for the taking as well. But keep an eye out for the likes of Samuel Cardinal actually there in the background. He's not too far adrift of this one. Meanwhile, part 3 with Kai De Bruyne versus Valerio Gallo. De Bruyne managed to get ahead then of the Mercedes driver. So the Jaguar now going to come under threat, and surely Gallo is going to just absolutely fire his way through as we come down into T1 with the straight line speed. But no, not quite for now. De Bruyne holds it off, uses the weight advantage, gets into 4th position in front of the Italian driver.
Imagine being in that D-type, looking in your mirror and seeing that behind you down the straight. I would just be terrified. I mean, the size difference almost comical. But watching also Valerio handle that thing, hustle it through these corners is a sight to behold for sure. So Gallo there in the Mercedes in front of them, Kai de Bruin in the D-Type with that little fin on the end there. Basically used to stabilise the car at high speed. Very cool to see that these cars being raced in this way. And this is where we see the Mercedes have its advantage. The D-Type is pretty quick, but on the straight line speed, the raw engine capacity of this Mercedes-Benz just gives it a bit more oomph. And here we go then, to the outside goes Gallo once again. This battle's been going on for the entire race, and he just tries to drive around the outside. Now will Kai de Bruin try and break late here and keep the place? He does. They're alongside here, and Gallo's really got no option but to just give it to him at this point. He hasn't got that cornering agility.
Yeah, you just can't get the car stopped. It's heavier on the brakes there, and obviously the brakes just clearly nowhere near as effective as Kai de Bruin, but the punch and the power out of the corner there for Valerio Gallo just allows him to get greater speed, and he just goes through on Kai de Bruin like the Dutchman was standing still. Meanwhile, sharp end of this race, Miyazono, Moreno and Urra, we've not mentioned them for a few laps. They're still separated by a couple of tenths of a second. I'm sure we'll pick that up over the last couple, but Gallo into 4th place for now. Sure, we've not seen the last of it though.
Oh man, look at these two. You couldn't have two more different cars fighting each other, and that is just, for me, the joy of Gran Turismo. You see both of them have a bit of a smile on their face there. He's like, whatever, nothing I can do here. That's just part of it. That's part of having these different cars in this Nations Cup event. Every session matters. The qualifying session to pick these cars matters. This session matters. Of course, the grand final dictates everything else. And there goes Kai de Bruin, past Gallo again, and on board there, about 5.5 metres of bonnet or hood in front of you there, and a nice big aiming reticle with the Mercedes AMG 3 stars there.
Yeah, you got him quite literally in his sights. Meanwhile, sharp end of this one, Moreno now in front from Miyazono, so it's two Spaniards with a Japanese driver in the middle of that sandwich. Through the left, through the right, they've been nose to tail for the last few laps of these drivers, and you would imagine that it's going to start to kick off before too long. Urra there has a bit of a look to the outside of Miyazono, who goes for the sort of shallower inside line down the backstraight, but then ducks over to the more traditional racing line. This race, just to remind you, determines the grid position for the grand final in the Nations Cup, which will be along the way in the not too distant future. Under the bridge we go though. Is Urra going to think about launching an attack here on Takuma Miyazono? He pulls alongside the Porsche driver, just backs down to the throttle, gets out of the slipstream. Of course, Miyazono has got that hole in the air being punched in front of him by Moreno's Ferrari as well. And it's as you were as we come into the braking zone, or is it? Because Urra finds a gap on the inside. Miyazono pushes the curb on the outside there, and Urra tried to launch something on the exit of the corner, but the circuit there, as you can see, just jinxed right, and he runs out of room to do it.
Man, that's that Alpha there in 3rd place giving me solid Mr. Burns vibes. It's so cool to watch, but I have to think they're just waiting.
Oh yeah,
they're just waiting, because I think Miyazono knows that if he's close enough here, he can win the race just from here, just by hitting the gas. And Pol Urra, same sort of thing. That Ferrari isn't the quickest, but they've given themselves an 8 tenths buffer to Moreno in front now, so they've got to be careful with it. They can't fight too hard, otherwise Moreno is just going to get away with it. And we know that Ferrari in front is good for the twisties. Here is Miyazono, here is Pol Urra. Let's see how close they get down towards T1, and whether Moreno can build a gap or not.
So on to the last lap we go. I wonder if there might be a bit of tactical gamesmanship here from these drivers, as Miyazono then goes for the outside line here on Samuel Moreno. Urra there on the inside. Gap has appeared for the Spaniard. Moreno off nearly to the curb on the outside. It's as you were between these top three. But of course, we're going into Monza, let's not forget. It's a slipstream race, and I wonder if the option might actually be to start from 2nd position, so you've got the run going out of the first chicane. Not that these drivers are going to be worrying too much about that. I think they're having too much fun at the moment. Moreno still leads as we come through to the right-hander.
Well, what's happening now is that basically, I mean, you see Moreno's parents there watching on quite nervously, is they're all, Miyazono and Urra are both fighting for the right to have a go at Moreno on that last corner. So they both want to be ahead of each other. But they've got to be careful here, because if they end up knocking each other off the circuit, that gives this win and pole in the final to Moreno. So we got on board with Pol Urra now. Here's really his last chance to get ahead of Miyazono before the final corner. But here's where that Porsche starts pulling, and here's where that Ferrari starts lacking. You see Miyazono opting to actually slow down there. Moreno goes defensive. Will Urra go around the outside of all of them? He's going to try and do it, but I don't think he's going to make it. Miyazono and Urra side by side. Pol Urra, he does make it around. He's got the ideal line here, but they're 2 by 2. Oh my word, Tom, and Urra is through up into P2.
Phenomenal bit of driving there from Pol Urra as he goes into second position. Next target is his compatriot Samuel Moreno then. So we flick it through into the left-hander. Just one more big braking zone now remaining as we're right on board here with Miyazono, who fancies another attack against Pol Urra. Don't know if they're going to be close enough to lunge up the inside of Moreno. Urra has a half look, but Moreno's got the line covered off. It's now going to be a run to the line here in the sprint race to determine the grid for the grand final. Moreno, Urra and Miyazono is your order as they exit through the final corner. Out of the right-handed kick we're about to go, and we're going to blast to the timing line here. Will it be Moreno, will it be Urra, or will it be Miyazono who takes the checkered flag? It's out and waving, and which of these drivers will come across the line? It's Samuel Moreno who takes his first ever win in the Gran Turismo World Series on his debut, ahead of his compatriot Pol Urra, and Takuma Miyazono rounds off the podium in third, ahead of the hometown favourite Valerio Gallo in Milan, in P4, on the grid for the grand final.
Yeah, Gallo narrowly beating Kai de Bruyne. In the background there, it's 3 wide for 8th position. Guy Barbara just taking it there from Benelli and Drummond. So amazing battles up and down the field, but what a mature race there from Moreno. He just managed to keep Urra and Miyazono in the right spot at the right time, and he will now start pole position in his debut final event here. I mean, that's huge for him. That's going to be huge pressure here as well. And we saw his parents there and the audience cheering him on. There is Takuma Miyazono. Must be thinking, well, you know, to be honest, he's where he should be. You know, one of those first 4 places is pretty much where he was going to be anyway. And because of the nature of the race, as you say, at Monza, it's a slipstream battle. Maybe starting P3 isn't the worst thing, but I guess the big loser of that race, Jose Serrano, 6th place.
Yeah, not great at all there for Jose Serrano, caught up in all of that melee at the sort of beginning echelons of the race. He started, though, on pole position with Kylian Drummond very close behind. Both of those drivers having a bit of a shocker here in the sprint race. So this is how it all went down towards the first corner. It changed pretty much as soon as the lights went out, though. Drummond, as you can see, dropped down to 11th position. Serrano was down into P6 there as well. And it became a 3-way scrap up the sharp end of it between Moreno, Miyazono and Urra. And you couldn't separate them at all out on track. Anything you can do, I can do better, seemed to be the response from either one of those 3 drivers. Miyazono at this particular point was back through and in front. We saw a fantastic swabble for 4th place between Valerio Gallo and Kai de Bruyne, which Valerio Gallo eventually would win. Coming into the last couple of laps of the race, though, a move here for Moreno on the inside against Takuma Miyazono. Sort of set the stall out, really, as we headed towards the checkered flag. Though it was Moreno who led from Pol Urra with a brilliant end to that race. A great final lap, and Miyazono across the line to start P3 for the grand final. But what a race from this man here. His debut event in the GT World Series, just 18 years of age, and he takes his first win in the Nations Cup ahead of compatriot Pol Urra. Miyazono there on the podium in P3 ahead of Gallo, De Bruyne, Serrano. Cockburn didn't really feature much throughout that one. Guy Barbara made some good progress right towards the back of the field is where he started. Benelli, then Drummond, who had a bit of a shocker. He lined up, of course, P2 on the grid and ended up 10th at the end of that one, ahead of Sam Cardinal and Adriano Carrazza.
Yeah, I mean, very reserved celebration there from Sam Moreno as well. As someone who understands that the job is only half done. This, of course, setting the grid for the grand final coming up very shortly.
Well then, let's go down and catch up with our winner from that one. Samuel Moreno, the 18-year-old, takes his first win in the GT World Series here in Milan.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. First time.
Do you like the Italian audience? Yeah.
È bella.
Okay, good job. You were great. This is the first time for you on this stage, okay? It's different. How do you feel about that? Come ti senti? Come ti senti prima volta su questo palco?
I feel actually like in home. I have no pressure. I know it's my first event, so I mean, I'm just trying to do my best, and it's working out.
Si sente come un signore anziano e non ha pressione, è tranquillo.
How did you find racing the Mille Miglia cars? What was that like?
Oh, tough race.
It looked quite stressful. It looked like fun, but like weirdly stressful.
Because when you thought that you had it on the straight, then the car that was coming second all the time was getting back to first, and it was so stressful because I thought I had I could maybe escape, but then no, on the straight, again, everyone together.
Come si è sentito con le 1000 miglia, ovviamente è un po' più stressato perché le macchine chiaramente ci mettono più tempo per recuperare.
Too much slipstream.
Very much so. How was it to come to Gran Turismo World Series and kind of meet all of your competitors? Was it interesting and fun to like meet all the Gran Turismo drivers?
It's a great opportunity to be here with such great people that have won a lot of championships, lots of races. I just try to improve every race. This is only my first race, so I hope I can go even higher.
Okay, so I do have one bit of feedback, which is the guys from Gran Turismo really love it when you shout when you win. Like you are too casual. You need to be like, yeah! And then that will basically be used on every single video for the next year. But no, I'm just kidding. You don't really have to do that.
Wanna do it? 3, 2, 1, let's go!
Oh.
3,
2, 1. See, they'll keep that. Let's give him a big round of applause. It's first time. Woo! Let's go back up to Tom and Jimmy.
18 years old, his debut event, and now a winner. What a job from San Marino. Well, more about him in a few moments' time, but let's have a closer look then, shall we, at the venue for the grand final. Where else could it be? Of course it's Monza. We're here in Milan. It had to be, didn't it, really? What a place for a race. I love this circuit. The fans love it. It's going to be an exciting one, this.
Temple of Speed. You know, I mean, as you say, where else would you go? It's not too far away from where we are right now, and a circuit that I'm sure everyone is familiar with. And of course, we know around here that slipstreaming, a huge part of this race, of this circuit. So grid position, maybe not too important, but you know, we'll see, of course. A reminder of the grid positions, of course, for this race. And Moreno, after winning the races on the pole position with Urra in second, so an all-Spanish front row with Miyazono and Gallo heading out row 2. Kind of Bruin and Jose Serrano 5th and 6th, with Takuma and Barbara, a good result from him after starting from last in 8th. Benelli, Drummond in 10th. Disappointing for Drummond. He would have wanted better than that from the sprint race. And Cardinal and Karatsa heading up the rear of the grid.
Yeah, those drivers who had a difficult time in the sprint race, they're going to have to really get their elbows out, I would imagine, in the first few laps in particular to make some ground. So you might see some bold strategies in terms of tyres as well, because there are 3 tyre compounds, and we change it completely from the, how do I put it, historic cars over to the Rippon X 2019, a high downforce machine. And you can see there what it's going to mean in terms of the tyre compounds and the strategies and so on and so forth. There's 3 tyres, soft, medium and hard, and they must use each of them at least once over the course of the race. This is what our gurus at Polyphony Digital think is going to happen. However, we have a habit of knowing that the drivers don't listen to that at all.
Yeah, I mean, the guys at Dunlop tend to give us a decent prediction, but as you say, our competitors do tend to ignore that. Here is our car. You're familiar with this right by now, the Red Bull X 2019. We're talking 650 kilograms. We're talking over 800 brake horsepower. We're talking all the aero that our competitors can handle, and it gives us some of the best and fastest racing possible. You've got to have quick reaction times for this and very good understanding of how aerodynamics work. Again, as Tom said, the complete opposite end of the spectrum from what we just saw. Here are winning predictions. Jose Serrano again getting the majority of your vote. I mean, you guys were right last time for manufacturers. We'll be right this time for nations. We'll see. Nice to see Miyazono getting some love, though. Yeah, someone else. Not Serrano.
He's always popular as Takuma Miyazono. Wait and see how it works out. Don't forget about the Predict the Winners campaign. You can claim it up to 2 weeks post the end of this event as well. So even if you're not able to do it today, you can still do it later on as well. So Jose Serrano there, as you said, the man who is on top form at the moment. But here are the 3 drivers that we're really keeping an eye on. Of course, including Jose Serrano, including Takuma Miyazono. And let's be honest, we selected Kylian Drummond prior to the start of this evening. He didn't have a particularly brilliant sprint race, lines up down the order, but he's going to have to, you know, he knows how to fight his way through the field.
Brutal, Tom. Brutal Brooks, we're going to call you from now on. But yeah, I mean, Drummond is quick in these cars, but he's got a lot to do. I mean, I don't think there's really a driver out there who isn't fast in these X2019s. They use them so often that these guys are all sort of specialise in them now. But someone else we know who's very fast in his car is, of course, Takuma Miyazono. So we really have an awesome lineup here.
Absolutely. Well then, let's get ready to get the grand final underway for the Nations Cup. Down to Brian and Jules.
Well, we have shuffled the pack for that grand final. It is anybody's race. Are you ready, Milan? Are you ready, Brian?
I'm ready, Jules. Noi siamo pronti. Il più grande pubblico è quello italiano. Vi amiamo, ragazzi.
This is going to be a crazy race. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Let's go and race!
It's time to kick off the first grand final of the Nations Cup in 2026 here in Milan. How is this one going to go down? We've got a brand new driver to the championship who just took his first win, and as such he lines up on pole position here for this race in the Red Bull X2019. It's Samuel Moreno who will head the field here at Monza at the Temple of Speed. 27 laps of action ready to come. Here is Moreno, the 18-year-old on pole position with Pol Urra. Sort of an experienced driver now in second position on the grid. Takuma Miyazono heads row 2, and he has got Valerio Gallo, the hometown favourite, to the roar of the crowd here in Italy for company. Then it's Kai de Bruyne next up on row 3 with Jose Serrano, the reigning champion, alongside. Rios Kokobun, returning after a year out from competition, is at P7, and he's got Guy Barbara, who did a great recovery job to get into P8 at the end of that sprint race. Lucas Bonelli is next up in P9. Completing the top 10 is Kylian Drumont, who's got a heck of a fight back to do after a dismal time in the sprint race. Then it's Sam Cardinal in P11 with Adriano Carrazza completing the 12-driver strong field. Soft, medium and hard tyres available for the drivers, and as you can see, the majority of the top 10 starting on the mediums.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a strategy we've not seen before. It's just those who are at the front want to go fast, and those at the back want to get rid of that hard tyre straight away. I mean, if you're looking at Moreno and Urra and Miyazono, I think they need to really focus on trying to work together a little bit at the start of this race. Because the worst thing you can do when using that medium compounder tyre is squabble, you lose time. You have to think of the race as a whole, which is very tricky when you're racing side by side with very competitive people.
So then, how does this one go down? There are your drivers on the stage. There's the audience in the background. Over 1,000 people here in Milan, and we're waiting to find out who will be the master of Monza. Tension is in the air as they will come around the final corner, come across the timing line, and we will get ready to get racing underway here as the grand final at Monza for the Nations Cup is go. They lead them down over the timing line and head towards the first corner. So a rolling start then with Moreno, Urra and Miyazono. Will we see any Dander moves on the brakes? Moreno looks like he's got the lead covered off for now. Miyazono has a look on Urra. Gallo there also looking a bit racy in fourth position. They exit the first chicane, which is a very tricky part of the lap because it does bottleneck up through there. But the upshot is the pole sitter of Samuel Moreno, the 18-year-old, holds the lead over Pol Urra for now.
Yeah, nice, neat and tidy start up front. Meanwhile, at the back, Guy Barbara losing 2 places, or 3 places now on that medium compounder tyre. So a horrible start from him as we see Urra kick up some gravel on the outside of the first chicane there. And this is where these guys need to be careful. They don't want to have any big fights now. They don't want to be pushing each other off, having incidents, because this is right at the start of the race. You've got to try and be neat and tidy. You see in the background there, Kokubun on that hard compounder tyre, just moving to one side, I think, to try and let Serrano through. He knows his fight isn't with Serrano right now, and they'll just cost each other both time if they fight. So just let him through, be sensible, think of the race as a whole.
So explain to me why that is, Jimmy. Of course, it's obviously different tyre compounds here for Jose Serrano. He's on the medium tyre. Why has Kokubun not fought that for those who are just tuning into the GT World Series for the first time?
Because really Serrano's going to pass him anyway, and here is Serrano. I say that, he must have made a mistake at the start because he did start in 6th position. Yeah, oh, that's why. So I thought it was out of the kindness of his heart, but actually it's because Kokubun caused that contact and moved him out of the way. So showing good sportsmanship there by letting him back through again. But again, a bad start for Serrano here. So he's not having the perfect races he had last year. Yeah, not very good at all there for Jose Serrano. Guy Barbara was the other driver that was caught up in all that melee, which is why he dropped down into 11th position initially on the opening lap. He's now back up into 10th place, but he basically came to a stop down at the Rettifilio. On board we are with Valerio Gallo as we
exit through the Curva Grande, heading towards the Della Roggia chicane. Sparks flying underneath Miyazono. Massive closing speed there from the Italian driver as well. And you're threading the eye of a needle as you flick it through that left and that right. And you can see the gravel awaiting those who make the mistakes on the outside. So the start of this race, pretty much as we were expecting to see for the medium short runners, with the exception of Guy Barbara, who, as we know, of course, as I said a moment ago, was caught up in that first corner drama. So they're going to build out a gap in the early stages of this race compared to the hard-shod runners. But of course, the converse to that is that they're going to owe that hard compound of tyre later on in the race. So it depends on what they're going to do in terms of their strategies and whether we'll see any divergence when it comes to the first pit stops.
Yeah, right now you're seeing the gap sort of all stabilising at the front, around half a second or so. The reason for that is because of dirty air. These cars produce a lot of downforce, and when you're following in the wake, it upsets the airflow going over your car, meaning you produce less downforce and you're a bit slower. So it's a good idea usually to give it about half a second or so, maybe a bit more, and it saves your tyres too, because all that time your car is understeering in the aero, you're putting more load into the front tyres, trying to make up for that. So all good right now. Kai de Bruin is hanging on to the back of this group, but does look the slowest. And you see there in the bottom left-hand corner, that's Valerio Gallo's parents there. Here, of course, to give their son the support alongside the rest of the home audience here. Great support here for Gallo, and I'm sure he feels that right now.
Yeah, same expression on their face as his son does while he's driving, actually.
Yeah, you can tell they're related.
Yeah. Let's have another look then at Guy Barbara and Adriano Carrazza. Samuel Cardinal there in the background. This is just on the exit of the Curva Grande. They're side by side through the Della Roggia. Barbara on the curb on the inside, and well, it's difficult to work that one out because neither wanted to give that corner up, and to be honest, one of them sort of needed to, really.
Racing incident. Done. Finish.
There we go. Lovely stuff.
I'm not sure if the stewards agree, but I just think in those situations where they're fighting like that, as you say, they're both going in, they're both taking the risk, but one of them knows they might not make it out of that corner like that, and unfortunately that time it was Carrazza, so it just happens. Meanwhile, front and back, the top 4, top 5 cars very close together. Kai de Bruin just, as I say, narrowly holding on to Valerio Gallo in the background there, but anyone's race at this point. We're only 3 laps in, or nearly 4 laps in now, to what is a 27-lap race. As we say, you must use every compound of the Dunlop tyre at least once. The medium, the hard, and the soft. So Miyazono looking maybe to the outside of Pol Urra there, and Urra feeling the need to defend a little bit.
They're keeping it quite calm, aren't they, at the sharp end of this one? No real moves being made at all, actually, inside the top 7. It's all exactly as they qualify. Barbara gets a penalty for colliding with another car. That's the incident down at the second chicane that we just saw with Carrazza a couple of moments ago. I've got to be honest, I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've learned that the stewards, I know where they are now here, and they're bigger than me, so I'm not going to argue with them.
Have you seen the big stick down the middle of the table?
Great job, stewards. Love that.
Right, Guy Barbara then, 1 second penalty. Difficult day continues at the office for the Australian driver. On board we are, though, with the Italian of Valerio Gallo as he exits his way out of the second Lesmo. We're going to come under the old banking, under the old circuit, and head in towards Ascari in a couple of moments' time. Now, the good news here for the likes of Urra, Miyazono and Gallo is they're all sitting in the slipstream. They can save fuel. It's a very fuel-intense track, this one here. And they can just sit there, lift off the throttle and not try and attack too much at this particular point, which might pay them dividends come the pit stops.
So you see there, Gallo really thinking about having the move and then going, actually, no, I'm going to just do what you say, just save this fuel, just get off the throttle, use the slipstream to pull the car along. And the result is just fuel saved, a shorter stop at the end of the race. Now, someone who is not going to be doing this, who's not going to be saving fuel, is Moreno at the front of the field. Now, say that Gallo looking for a move now on Miyazono, thinking about it. Now, will Miyazono fight this? Yep, Gallo there up into P3, so clearly he thinks he's a bit quicker at this point. But will that break the toe to Pol Urra in front? 8 tenths is the gap now. Gallo, we know, is quick in these cars, but I think it's fair to say sometimes can be a little bit inconsistent in how they are. So he's got to really get his head down now. Kai de Bruin also on Miyazono. They're looking into second chicane. Will Kai de Bruin go through? If he does, so Miyazono goes from 3rd to 5th in 2 corners there. And that's what happens, I think, maybe when you let someone through.
Just to give you an idea of the difference in pace there, Gallo last time around 26.3, De Bruin 25.8, Miyazono 26.6. So Miyazono must have made some kind of a mistake, you would assume, through that final corner or something like that.
I think what it is they're just being slowed down by Moreno.
Right.
There's a bit of draft going on here as well, so that's so small up. Here's Guy Barbara. Here's the reason why he got a penalty.
There's the first corner. This is the only lap.
It's for that. Okay, fair enough then. Yeah, I mean that you could argue that is a penalty. It's avoidable contact. And Killian Drumont's opinion on that is, well, nothing. Good. Okay. So here is Moreno Urra and now Valerio Gallo, who has moved back into a slipstream range here. And you have to. Oh, so are they coming into? I thought they were coming into box then. Moreno took a very sharp line, but he's just taking the least possible distance to start finish line there.
Good point of discussion actually in the driver briefing for these guys this morning actually as well. We were talking about this, about can you dart like you're looking into the pit lane and not come in, and the stewards have said, yeah, that's fine, you can do that basically. So that's why they're coming into the pit lane, basically trying to sell the other drivers a dummy and see whether they will come in. We've had 4 drivers box at the end of lap 5 then. So Cockburn, Drumont, Benelli and Cardinal all into the pits, all on the hard tyres and switching to the mediums for their first stop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. Get off that tyre as soon as possible. Now, interestingly, you might be thinking, why is Pol Urra not making a move on Moreno? Why is he staying there? Why is Gallo kind of staying there right now, not pushing? Because this might be where we see Moreno's inexperience get him a little bit. Yeah, sure, he's leading the race. He's got a big number 1 next to his name. And talking of numbers next to their names, Miyazono picking up a 0.5 second penalty. That's track limits. So the start of his race really not going to plan for Takuma Miyazono. But to finish that initial thought there, where Moreno's out front, he's punching the hole in the air for everybody else. And everyone else behind them is saving fuel. So, mate, it feels good right now to be first, but everyone else thinking of a longer.
Yeah, we see this a lot in something like Formula E, for example, where you've got to lift and coast and save energy over the course of the race. And that's why you see a lot of slipstreaming battles. And the same principle applies here in this race. The upshot is that's Moreno now at the half-second lead, but as you say, he's going to be expending a little bit more fuel and also probably using a little bit more tyre life, you would imagine, just to try and stay at the sharp end.
This actually is a bit of saving grace for Serrano, because it then puts Miyazono back into slipstream range for Serrano, who's sort of fallen off the back after that incident at the start. And just like that, Jose Serrano is back in contention. Of course he is. Who else would who bring the car back like this? I mean, behind them is Guy Barber. He's the last person not to pit yet, but unfortunately, due to various circumstances, about 8 seconds at the back of these guys. But Miyazono will now be giving Serrano a tow back to Kai de Bruin if he can do pace similar to Kai de Bruin. So Serrano, look how fast he is there. He's not hanging about. Serrano up the inside of Miyazono, and the champion's charge back to the front of the field continues.
That was an aggressive chop over going into the first Lesmo, wasn't it? Fair play, though, to Serrano. He got track position, superlative drive out of the Della Roggia chicane, and he went through for 5th position, made that stick and made it look quite easy. Now, Miyazono can use the advantage of the slipstream that's being punched in the hole in the air in front of him by the Spanish driver. The question is, though, Serrano, what's he got? 1.5 seconds to Kai de Bruin in front, so he needs to try and set basically a couple of qualifying laps to get himself onto the back of the Dutchman. Let's have another look and see how it all worked out there. So Miyazono through the Della Roggia, didn't particularly make that much of a mistake, just a little bit wide in the second part of the corner. Serrano said thanks very much, great exit, and just sived on through.
He just seems to have much better traction. You know, that's all I can say there. There's not that big of a difference, if any difference, in their tyre life. So it's just a better technique, it seems. Miyazono coming back at Serrano, giving a little bump down the straight there. That's not allowed. No bump drafting allowed in this series. Although if I was Miyazono, I'd be like, well, I tried to pass him. I was trying to move out. I just misjudged it.
Sorry, Your Honour.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Don't look at it too. Gallo with a penalty for track limits. This is what I'm talking about. Valerio just makes these little mistakes that he can't be affording to make right now.
Well, that one mistake there as well, what's that, half a second? It's going to drop him right into the clutches of the likes of Jose Serrano and Takuma Miyazono. So again, that's another beneficiary here for Serrano and Miyazono. It's going to bring him right back as a player. Brun sends it through on the inside of Valerio Gallo, who was a little bit deep there into the first Lesmo. The Dutchman is now into the final podium place. Valerio Gallo, big wobble out of the second Lesmo for Jose Serrano. That's going to cost him time and cost him track position here to Takuma Miyazono as we blast under the old banking. So all of the hard work there that Jose Serrano did, he's now got to do all over again on Takuma Miyazono.
This is good for Gallo because now he's got a little bit of a rest, a little bit of a gap behind him to fall back into, and hopefully now, yeah, he's not lost too much time there, so he'll still have a draft from
big drop.
Who's that?
That's Moreno. That's the race leader that's off down at Alboreto at the final corner. Goodness me, what has happened there to Samuel Moreno? Huge drama at the end of lap 9, and the race leader, the rookie who has been so supreme in the Nations Cup thus far, is plummeted down the order and out of the lead of the race.
I had no idea there, just saw him sideways. I have to either assume he caught the grass on braking, or he was assisted maybe by Pol Urra. I don't want to say that before we see it, but and Kai de Bruyne with a penalty as well. So now Gallo's coming back into it. Man, this race all over the place.
Goodness me, we're going to have to see a replay of exactly what happened. Whilst we take a breath, let's welcome Mick Hazal to the commentary box. GT World Series royalty. Mick, great to have you here. What's your read of this race so far?
Firstly, thank you for having me here. It's always a pleasure to join you at the commentary here, but this is not a way how I wanted to join the commentary here.
Yeah, the commentator's curse is alive and well, I'm afraid to say. But I was just about to sing the praises of Samuel Moreno. We haven't seen what happened, so we'll wait for a replay on that one. Up until what's just happened, he was driving superbly well, though.
Indeed. So you can see that the top six previously, like before Moreno had the spin on the last corner, you were able to see that the top six were trying to dictate their own pace.
Let's have a look then. So we're on board here with Samuel Moreno. So we're coming down into Alboreto. He just clips the grass on the entry to the corner and spins all on his own.
So that's a shame.
I mean, the gaps these guys are playing with, Nick. I mean, you've driven at this level before.
Yeah.
It really is millimetres, isn't it, when you're driving like that?
Especially at the circuit, because you really want to use every single millimeter here. It can be like the braking point or like the driver line, because here, in most cases, you're just using the full throttle all the time. So there's not really a lot of opportunities where you can gain a lot of time. So yeah, it's such an easy mistake anybody can do here.
Serrano through on Miyazono for fourth place at the start of lap 10 as well. So the recovery for the second of the Spaniards now in this race continues. Valerio Gallo, meanwhile, in the wheel tracks here of Kai de Bruyne, who, after all of that and despite the penalty, still sits in second position. It's given a golden ticket, though, for Pol Urra, who's got 2.2 seconds now at the sharp end of this race. And you can see similar on tyre life, similar, you would imagine, on fuel consumption there as well. So it's worked out very handsomely here for him.
Yes, indeed. So in this race, you don't really need to save fuel with times on fuel consumption. But as for the tyre wear, this is where the strategy will be really, really interesting here. So we were able to see like a prediction from the team, what the strategy might look like. But I was also talking to a few of the other drivers before what they intend to do here. So some of the other drivers, they want to extend the medium tyres as long as possible in order to use the hard tyre compound as, how should I say, not as much as possible in the end. So we might see some of the drivers going into the pits by the end of lap 15 or 16 potentially.
So I'll tell you what, Nick, I'm going to put you on the spot. You're Pol Urra right now. You've not made the stop yet with the medium compound tyre. You're leading the race by 2.2 seconds. What are you thinking? What's your strategy here?
So if I was Pol Urra, obviously I would be thinking, hey, this is perfect. Nobody's right behind of me using my slipstream. But this would also put more pressure onto yourself automatically, because you're not allowed to do like a single mistake even, which allows the competitors behind of you to close the gap down to you, and them also having the slipstream in the end, because if you have the slipstream here, you can easily follow the driver in front of you. You can also save your tires by doing so. So in Pol Urra's case, I think he's really trying to extend the gap even.
So Pol Urra it is that leads then, 2.3 seconds the gap he has over Kai de Bruyne. Moreno's picked up another penalty just to compound his woes there in sixth position. That's the sort of snowball effect that can happen, really. You end up with one unfortunate incident and they just sort of come along like London buses. And unfortunately for Moreno, presumably a track limits one, because we didn't see anything flash up on the screen, but that's going to cost him a bit more time and give him a few more headaches later on in the race. On board we are meanwhile here with Valerio Gallo, the hometown hero in the slipstream still of Kai de Bruyne. Do you think he's just going to be, again, biding his time, waiting and saving fuel at this stage?
I think so. I mean, even at this stage here, they don't really want to allow themselves to go into a fight, because if they would fight right now, this would only allow Pol Urra to pull the gap even more, and you would just give Pol Urra the victory at this point. So I think they're trying to work together by this stage, and let's see.
But do you think maybe, because I get the impression that at the moment Pol Urra is a bit quicker than Kai de Bruyne, just in this strength fight. And if you're, I mean, the lap time wise, it's about 2 tenths between the two. If you're Valerio Gallo, you think, come on, mate, get on with it, because he's getting away. I'm going to overtake you so I can lead instead. We'll catch him together. I mean,
you're completely right.
Yeah, well, what do you do there? Because obviously you're stuck between not wanting to have a fight, but also like, come on, hurry up.
I think in Valerio's case here, you would probably look at Kai's pace for the next couple of laps to see whether he's really able to follow Pol Urra's pace. If he's not able to match the same lap timings as Pol Urra, then obviously Valerio Gallo is probably going to try and overtake Kai as soon as possible.
I have a small question. Obviously, you've been a competitor here in the past. Have you ever been tempted just to reach over and be like, "Oi, come on, get out of the way," or just tell someone to get out of the way? They're right next to you.
Oh, look at here.
Yeah, De Bruyne made a mistake in the second part of Ascari there. That's allowed Valerio Gallo right on his rear wing. But you can see again, he's lifting out the throttle, just waiting here, isn't he? And it's brought Serrano into the picture. That's the problem, though, here, because that mistake, again, one simple error. We've been talking about it the entirety of the race, those fine margins, and now suddenly it's gone from a two-way to a three-way.
So this is being too cautious now. What I think Gallo should have done is gone for the move. Kai De Bruyne needs to go, okay, yep, I made a mistake there. I'm going to slot in behind you. And all work together.
Yeah. He has to now. He's got no choice. He's alongside Kai De Bruyne. Then he's going to send it down in towards the Rettifilio. Are we going to see a Spanish-shaped machine through on the inside as well? Not quite so. De Bruyne loses out to Valerio Gallo, who's now going to try and pounce and power away from those two drivers.
Lovely exit from Gallo there. That was important too, because Kai De Bruyne's going to be behind. Now, I think what Gallo is hoping is that Serrano's going to do sort of the same thing and give them a little bit of a gap, because now Gallo's leading this train, so it's up to him to try and match the pace of Pol Urra. The gap is 3 seconds, which isn't insurmountable, but it is enough to make a difference, of course. So Gallo now needs to get his head down and do the best he can to try and catch Pol Urra. And Serrano, of course, we did speak about him earlier. What a recovery from Serrano. He's right back in it now. He's right in this train. Any of these guys can win this race at this point.
That simple, Nick, that simple mistake there from Kai De Bruyne a couple of moments ago, it cost Gallo a second. He was 2.2 behind, he's now 3.2 behind.
Indeed, but once Pol Urra gets a track limit penalty here, it would open up the battle for the victory once again, because with the championship track limits here,
Serrano on the inside of Kai De Bruyne into Alboreto. Can he make it stick? De Bruyne just holds it firm around the outside, uses that momentum of sort of the wider line, as it were, and now they're in that slipstreaming battle down the back straight. Keep an eye out for Takuma Miyazono, who's joined into the party here as well. We're side by side with Gallo and De Bruyne once again for second position. De Bruyne with the outside line, demote Gallo back down into third place as they head into the first chicane.
But this is better, at least. I mean, it's hard when you're there fighting because you don't want to give the place up, but they are now moving forward. I mean, if we look at lap times, I say that actually, Pol was quicker than all of them last lap.
I mean, this is not really what you want to do at this stage, because if we were looking at the gap from P2 to Pol Urra on the previous 2 laps, I think it was like 1 second lower. So 1 second less, I mean. So I'm not quite sure if these guys are probably going to start thinking, okay, I think Pol Urra already won this race at this point, so let's try to battle for P2.
We're right now in the pit window here as well, Mick. What are you going to do in terms of tyres? Do you think it's going to be a case of follow the leader, see what they do when they come in?
When I was mentioning before that some of the other drivers are thinking about extending the medium tyre compound as long as possible, I think all of them are going to try and go into the pits at the same time. But the question is going to be, are they also going to use the same tyre compound? Because after this, they only have to use either the hard tyre compound or the soft tyre compound.
Do you think it's worth taking a gamble, boxing first and trying to maybe get a bit of a gap somewhere, trying to move out? Because these guys, they're all in now, and there you go.
Aside from Serrano,
yeah, Serrano takes that gamble, so we're going to find out now if that's the right choice or not, I suppose. So Urra, De Bruyne, Gallo and Miyazono in soft for Pol Urra. We expected that. What about for the rest? Gallo and Miyazono going to the hard tyres, De Bruyne on to the soft. Who gets out first? If you're Kai De Bruyne on the soft tyre and you're stuck behind people, no, that's perfect for him. He's going to put away now. But also for Gallo, if he can try and stay with Kai De Bruyne in the draft there, that's basically free time for him on that hard compounded tyre.
Well, you'd imagine it wouldn't be as difficult at this circuit relative to some of the other tracks because of the slipstream. Surely.
Indeed. But I expect that Kai De Bruyne is going to start pulling away after Sector 1, which is going to be the chicane, the upcoming chicane. So, but even so, it would still help Valerio Gallo even a tiny bit, because if you can use the slipstream on a straight line, it's like 3 lap times. So obviously you want to use it in the end. But now the question is going to be with the hard tire compound, it's like the safest tire compound. You can extend it if you want to, but as Valerio Gallo as well as Takuma Miyazono still have to use the soft tire compound, they are probably going to start thinking, at which lap time am I going to start going into the pits in order to do the undercuts? But if they intend to go into the pits earlier, by the end of the race, the soft tire compound are going to be almost gone. So
Serrano's going to come into the pit lane at the end of this one. And just to give you an idea of there he is. Just to give you an idea of the difference in sector time. Sector 2 on that last lap for Pol Urra, who's on the soft tyre, 28.4. Serrano on those worn-out medium tyres, 29.2. So he lost 0.8 of a second alone in sector 2. The gap was about 10 seconds or so, wasn't it? It's down to 9.5.
Fastest car on track right now, though, is San Marino, who went onto softs early.
Yeah.
He's burning through the softs quite a lot, but he is there. Serrano now is he going to come out ahead of Miyazono? He is there. So Serrano past Miyazono again and right onto the back of Gallo, who is on that hard compounder tyre. Now, if you're Valerio Gallo, you play how wide is my X 2019? Now you've got to try and hold up Serrano on this soft tyre. Although I must think maybe he's going to just let him have it.
Yeah.
It's about that long. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, for Serrano.
Maybe not.
For Serrano to win this, he had to do that. He had to make that move as quickly as he could. Because if he got stuck behind Gallo, especially in this middle sector, that could be half a second, maybe a second that he loses in time, and that could be the difference between winning this race or fighting for a lower podium position.
Indeed. Again, Mick, you've had experience in these races before. I mean, how much of your thought process is going towards like the race as a whole, the outside the race? We'll get to that in a second. Here's Moreno on Drummond.
Yeah, he's got another penalty here. Sent it to the inside at Ascari. That's a nice little move there on the soft tyre relative to Drummond's medium, but he's got a track limits penalty, one would assume, because it's flashing red next to his name.
It's so easy to receive a track limit penalty here. But to answer your question, Jimmy, when I was still a competitor in 2019, and we also went to the Salzburg World Tour event, we had the same track combination, like track car combination. And even at that time, I was fighting against Miyazono for the victory here. And usually the strategy we were using back then was we also had to refuel. And there, you were also trying to think about, okay, what am I going to do differently in order to come out of top against Miyazono?
De Bruyn's got a penalty as well. That again must be for track limits. Right then, so 9 laps to go. It's time to crack open a cold one and enjoy this. So here we see with Kai De Bruyn out of the exit of Curva Grande, half-second penalty, presumably for track limits there then for the Dutchman. So that's a disappointing one for him, and it could bring him into play with Jose Serrano. Might be a bit of a saving grace there for Serrano. What's the gap? It's about 2 seconds or so there and thereabouts, but you don't just lose that half second, you lose all the time and the speed, so it's about a second sort of net loss time, so it might just bring him into slipstream range for the Spaniard.
Yeah. Probably Pol Urra might also start thinking about maybe driving a bit safely around these corners here, because once you receive a track limit penalty, which we're going to see with Kai De Bruyn here, like the amount of time he's going to lose compared to Jose Serrano, for example, I think he really wants to try and bring it safely back home. So yeah, let's see, because the gap is already up to almost 4.2 seconds.
Do you think, based on this, that Serrano's got a chance of winning this race?
I doubt it, if I'm honest.
You think so?
I think so. I think Pol Urra already got this in the bag, unless something similar, something happens to him similarly to Moreno earlier, or him getting multiple track limit penalties.
It's worked out really nicely here for Urra because he's been driving almost like qualifying lap the last couple, really. 1:24.4. Serrano's now matching that in terms of pace. The problem is it's just coming too late here for Serrano, and Urra's just built out that gap to 4 seconds now over Kai De Bruyn. 1.5 seconds further back from him is Jose Serrano, and that's the advantage there of being in the lead, sort of dictating it. And that overcut, the pit stop strategy's worked out really nicely. He came out in clear air, and he's not been fumbled since.
Indeed. And with Valerio Gallo and Takuma Miyazono, for example, as they're still using the hard tyre compound here, I think they might still continue for another 2 or 3 more laps and trying to finish the race on a soft tyre compound. But the issue with the soft tyre compound is it wears so quickly, so any single wrong movement you do with the car around the circuit here is going to affect on your tyres. So the soft riders really have to look after the tyres.
So Moreno gets a warning for bump drafting there. He's also picked up another penalty for his troubles, as well as also Ryota Kokubun. They're down in 8th position. Do you think there could be a possibility of a podium in the closing stages of this one once the final pit stops have made? What's the gap to himself and Serrano? 5 seconds? I mean, it's a tall order, but is it out the realms of possibility, given that Serrano's going to be on the hard tyres at the end?
I think it's doable, because we also have to remember that once Valerio Gallo and Takuma Miyazono are going to be on brand new soft tyre compound, the other competitors in front of them are going to be in worn soft tyre compound. So they're already going to gain a lot of time compared to the drivers in front of them automatically. And with the hard tire compound being the slowest tire compound in general, it's going to be a really interesting and exciting finish to the race, I believe.
We're going to have an interesting situation coming up soon as well, with Moreno and Drummond both catching these two, Gallo and Miyazono, on these tyres. And of course, it's in these guys' best interest to try and facilitate any pass as easy as possible, or get to the box and get on the soft soon. I'd love to see our little tyre graphic again, because I've forgotten how long these soft tyres can go for. Tom, do you remember how long we say they reckon they go for this race?
Oh, some laps, yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. Hang on a minute.
We'll get our Dunlop tyre graphic up again in a second, so we can definitely remember what that information was. But you have to think that as soon as there it is, that's it on cue. So basically, we're getting to a point now where maybe they're thinking about Gallo Miyazono coming in for that soft tyre and then just going hard at the end.
Yeah, it's going to be 7 laps to go at the end of this one, isn't it? Mick, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciated your insight. Absolutely phenomenal, as always. Go and find a comfy seat somewhere and enjoy the end of this race.
Yeah, thank you for having me here, and hopefully I'll be able to see you or join you guys on the next time and enjoy the commentary.
Always a pleasure, Mick. Thank you so much. 2019 champion Mikael Hazal joining us here for the Nations Cup. Gallo in, Miyazono in at the end of lap 19. Cockburn also in. Cardinal, the last pit stops are now taking place. So Gallo and Miyazono, they're going to go onto the soft tyre. Cockburn, Cardinal, Benelli, etc. They're all going to go onto the soft tyre as well at the end of this race. So they'll be in a good position in terms of their pace. But it's Gallo and Miyazono, the two drivers that we need to really watch at the end of this one. Now they're out of the pit lane, they're on soft tyres, and crucially, Jimmy...
Pol Urra, penalty.
Yeah, that must be for track limits, surely.
Maybe. I mean, this is what Mick Hazal was talking about. Sorry to cut over you there, Tom. I just said, whoa, just shot me there. This is what Mick was talking about. You pick up one of these, or a couple of these, and this can unravel your race. And he was saying it's so easy here, because they recently changed the white line rules here. It's much stricter track limits than we're used to seeing in these events. And a couple of those changes the face of everything. So we've got a lot of stops yet to come. The top 5 cars are yet to take their final stop. So of that, you say Gallo would be leading the second charge, but of course he's quite a way back now.
Just to give you an idea of how much time Urra lost, he's just served that penalty. It must have been half second then for track limits. He's lost 0.8 of a second as a result of that. So it's a half second penalty, but of course the lost time from the speed that you then have to get back up to. So the gap has gone from 4.2 down to 3.2 now, so a second net loss time as it's all worked out here. As we look at Kai de Bruyne, still owes a pit stop. Moreno also owes a pit stop. He's been on the soft tyres in the middle stint of the race, and he's going to be going on to the hard tyres at the end of this one, so I don't think he's going to be any particular threat for the top 5. Drummond also into the box there as well, who'll be going on to the soft tyre, so you'd imagine he'll be mugging Moreno before the conclusion of this one. But we again need to keep a close eye on Gallo and on Takuma Miyazono. They are the two drivers to watch. They're on the soft tyre. The 3 in front of them all owe the hard tyre in the closing stages of this race.
And they basically all need qualifying laps now. Gallo and Miyazono's got to be qualifying lap, qualifying lap, qualifying lap. Think Schumacher, Hungary. It's got to be like that. You've got to go hard and go fast. And we know Gallo and Miyazono are able to do that with only 6 laps left remaining. There is Pol Urra's family here to support him as well. We're currently watching their family member in first position. Can he keep it there? The pressure, though, may be starting to get to him with that penalty. Kai de Bruyne, a great performance so far from the Dutch driver. We've always seen him at the sharp end of these cars, but never, ever discount this man. Jose Serrano's clawed his way back up from 6th from the grid up into 3rd place, and now is a real contender for the win here in Milan. So Kai de Bruyne going for another lap. Serrano in the wheel tracks in the slipstream, using that draft. See the tyre wear there. Serrano's tyres much fresher than Kai de Bruyne. He's going to draft by up into 2nd place. Goes Jose Serrano past Kai de Bruyne, but de Bruyne's not giving it up. Yes, he is. Up into 2nd goes Jose Serrano. But these guys, these top 3, they all still owe a pit stop.
But don't forget, Serrano pitted a lap later than Urra and de Bruyne, so he can then, in theory, pit a lap later than it. So he'll do 1 lap fewer on that hard tyre, and that could be a crucial difference here for Jose Serrano. He's up 4 places from where he started. He's now got a nice bit of clear track in front of him as de Bruyne's tyres are coming towards the end of their life. It's Gallo who's now picked up a half-second penalty here for track limits once again. That's going to drop him behind Takuma Miyazono and possibly bring his podium challenge to an end.
These are the little mistakes that cost you in these series. It's so easy to do this. These guys are really pushing the limits. I know you might be watching at home thinking, well, I wouldn't do that, but trust me, when you're trying to really wring the neck of these machines to get every possible half a tenth of a second. It's just so easy just to put a wheel slightly the wrong side of the line and pick up that 0.5 second penalty. Now, Miyazono will bounce in that straight away, but these guys, they're both old hands at this. They'll work together now and try and move themselves both forward. Gallo, I mean, a 0.5 second penalty, it's a click of the fingers, really, but it's enough to slow down. And here comes, Pol Urra in the box now. Pol Urra boxing.
Yeah, Serrano also boxing as well. I thought he might try and get another lap out of those tyres there for Serrano, but he decides actually to come into the pits at the end of lap 23, and exactly the same strategy as Miyazono does get through on Valerio Gallo after the Italian driver has served that penalty. So could it be Miyazono who's now trying to get into the final podium places? Urra out of the pits onto the hard tyre. Likewise Serrano, likewise Kai de Bruyne there as well. Have to say, I'm struggling to understand the logic there of Jose Serrano. Maybe he just thought he was coming to the end of his shelf life, but his time on the lap last time around was 0.3 of a second clear of Pol Urra, despite the fact that they were both on worn soft tyres. Meanwhile, Miyazono and Gallo bearing down on those three drivers. The gap 4 seconds with 4 and a bit laps to go here.
And they are fast, these two. Miyazono, of course, didn't have a penalty last lap, to 1:24.4, and to compare that to another hard run out there now, which is San Marino. He did a 26.5, so 2 seconds a lap now, with 4 laps remaining. These guys are going to be charging hard, and De Bruyne, Serrano and Urra are going to know this. They need to be clean and consistent now and worry about positions later. Urra has a nice buffer, 3 seconds in the front of the field there, fresh hard tyre. Serrano is there, I think probably a little bit quicker than Urra, but not enough to take 3 seconds out of him in 4 laps. So it's really, the fight comes down to these guys and how quick they can catch the first 3 cars.
So out of Ascari we go then. The gap was about 4 seconds last time around. At the end of this lap, or coming towards the end of it, it's now down to 2.8 seconds. Kai de Bruyne is going to be seeing 2 very fast charging X2019s in his rearview mirror before too long, led by Takuma Miyazono. Valerio Gallo now watching him in that slipstream. They're sort of joined at the hip at this particular point, but you'd imagine that Gallo, if he's going to get an inch, he'll take a mile. Here we go then, down the start-finish straight. Miyazono moves to the inside. Gallo blasts to the outside and goes through on Takuma Miyazono for 4th place. Is the gap now for that final podium position down to 2.5 seconds on lap 24.
Yeah, these guys have a temporary pact right now. They're saying, right, let's work together to catch these top 3. Don't worry about our positions right now. And Miyazono doing that just by letting off the throttle, getting out of the way, causing no slowdown time for Gallo, so he can pop back into the draft and go from there. 2.3 seconds now is the gap between Gallo and Kai de Bruyne in front of him. And, you know, it goes down to the old adage that catching someone is one thing, but passing them, of course, is quite another. And Gallo's got to get there and get by. The gap below 2 seconds. Here is where this soft tyre really has the advantage over the hard. That middle sector where all those medium speed corners are. Here's where now you can see, Gallo will be able to see the back of Kai de Bruyne. And just having that mental advantage of seeing yourself catching the car in front, that's worth even more time. So it's really all now coming to a head with only 3.5 laps to go.
Yeah, they might be on to Jose Serrano before the end of this one if they drive some absolutely brilliant sectors and depose of De Bruyne very quickly indeed. The gap to him is only another second or so up the road. Let's wait and see how it goes. Through Alboreto we go. Gallo so early on the power there on the soft compound of tyre, and De Bruyne is now going to be coming under pressure here from the Italian driver. Don't think Gallo's going to be quite close enough to launch anything as we come in towards the Retafiglio chicane, but maybe a strong exit out of there through the Curva Grande into the Della Roggia might be the first chance that the Italian needs to get onto the podium here.
Give you some context, it's 2 seconds a lap faster, pretty much, is Gallo on that tyre.
Oh, De Bruyne's got a penalty.
That's the second penalty, so that's going to be enough really for Gallo to get by if he can get onto the back of him. But is Kai going to hold him up? Would you do that if you were Kai de Bruyne? Probably. You're all fighting out there for competition's sake. But that's basically a free 3rd place now for Gallo. So if you're Gallo, do you now look beyond Kai de Bruyne and look to Serrano and think, right now the gap to him is, well, roughly 2 and a bit seconds. I can catch him. But look at this middle sector. Look how much faster Gallo is through here. And there's no doubt in my mind he'll be being held up slightly through Ascari. Will Kai de Bruyne fight it, or will he just let him go?
Well, Gallo, surely he's just got to get through. Like Gallo hasn't got that penalty. He's got to depose him as soon as he possibly can. Can't afford to sit in his wheel tracks every moment, every corner. And the problem is, in Ascari, it's so much one line through there. We're going to come through the exit of it. De Bruyne's going to pull off the racing line, and Gallo is going to go scything on through for that final podium place. place to the roar of the crowd here in Milan. Miyazono also following suit as well. Could these two drivers on the soft tyres of Gallo and Miyazono challenge for the final 2 podium places? One is already on, and there's going to be 2 laps to go at the end of this one.
Right, so it's 1.6 seconds now between Gallo and Pol Urra, the leader. Sorry, 3.6 seconds or so. And that is roughly the deficit that Gallo has over Urra in terms of tyres. So he can catch him. On pace he can catch him, but he's got to get by Jose Serrano and then get by Pol Urra. So we're going to have a real grandstand finish here. But bear in mind, of course, these soft tyres, they're starting to go off. We're seeing some tyre wear now for Gallo and Miyazono on those rear tyres. So they've had the best out of this soft compound, whereas that hard compound just sort of goes forever. But watch on board now as we come through this first chicane and going through these right-handers coming up here, the Lesmos. Look how quick this car is. Oh, Gallo's picked up a 0.5 second penalty. Oh, Valerio, not again, brother.
Well, much like the World Cup, it's going to come down to penalties here, I think, which is going to decide this one in the final podium places. Gallo can see Serrano in his sights, and he could challenge for second position, but that half-second penalty is going to cost him very dear, and it might open the door here for Takuma Miyazono to return to the rostrum. Through Ascari we go. Gallo's going to lose about a second or so net lost time, and Miyazono's going to say thank you very much, and surely the Japanese driver is going to blast on past Gallo as we head down into Alboreto. Gallo's going to try and defend it on the inside, but nothing he can do against the charge of Takuma Miyazono. And is that the moment there where the battle for second place will come to an end? 1 lap to go here at Monza.
So here we go then. This is really going to be the fight. It's now between Miyazono and Gallo. If these guys fight, Serrano's going to get away. Miyazono defending. Gallo going to the outside now. He's going to have to make him work hard. Miyazono squeezes him to the outside there. Gallo has no choice but to tuck back in again. And now it's a fight between the Italian driver and the Japanese driver. 2 extremely experienced hands here and in the Gran Turismo World Series. And this is a godsend for Pol Urra and for Jose Serrano. That gap at the front, by the way, down to 1.5 seconds. Serrano's really reeled Urra in, but it's running out of time. Likewise are these two on the soft compound tyre. Oh, Gallo's made a mistake. He's off. He's hit the grass and he's round. The pressure gets to Valerio Gallo and he is off, to the dismay of the home crowd here, but to the elation of Miyazono, Serrano and Urra. Oh, what a shame for Valerio Gallo.
Stunned silence turns to consolidating applause for Valerio Gallo as he drops down to 9th position following that mistake on the final lap, demoting him out of podium contention. Such a shame there for the Italian driver who was being superlative out there on the circuit. It's going to promote Takuma Miyazono onto the podium, who hasn't actually won a race, of course, since 2024 in the World Finals. But for Pol Urra, what a drive it has been for the Spaniard. An absolute commanding performance as he exits out of Alboreto, takes to the line and to the checkered flag. Pol Urra wins the Nations Cup here at Monza for the opening round of the Gran Turismo World Series in Italy, and it's a Spanish one too, with Serrano leading them home in second position as well. Takuma Miyazono on the rostrum in P3. A fantastic end to that race. Drama right down to the final stages. Delight for Pol Urra, delight for Serrano and for Miyazono, and dismay for Valerio Gallo, the Italian driver, losing out of the podium right at the end stages of that race.
I mean, what a conclusion. I mean, not the conclusion maybe the audience wanted, but it was great to see that show of respect there, just the applause from the audience. It must have been such a tough moment for Valerio, but also a special mention for Jose Serrano, who clawed his way back up into second place after an awful qualifying race there. And yeah, I mean, that's just championship damage limitation there, scoring 5 points here. Amazing run for Serrano. And good to see Miyazono back in the fray as well. I mean, that strategy at the end there started to fall apart as that soft tyre just started to wear, but still good enough for 3rd position. And also drew on 4th place, up 6 places from his starting position. So a good run from him too. There is Valerio Gallo there, understandably looking quite upset. It's one of those things. That's the level we're at here. One little mistake, it can cost you dearly.
Certainly can, and yeah, disappointment, as we said, for Valerio Gallo. Delight for Pol Urra, though. That was an absolutely fantastic result. That is his first win since the Nations Cup Grand Final in Los Angeles last year. Let's have a look at some highlights, though, from that race. So it was San Marino who, let's not forget, started that one on pole position after a quite brilliant qualifier where he got through to the head of the field. Urra was in second, Miyazono in 3rd position. At the start of it, though, we saw Gallo on the attack against Miyazono coming down in towards the Rettifilio chicane. A big moment for some drivers, including Miyazono, on the exit of the Della Roggia, allowed Serrano to go through as he continued a quiet elevation up through the field. But this was a moment that defined it for the fast rookie of San Marino. Just clipped the grass on the entry into Alboreto, plummeted down the order, eventually would come over to finish in P10. Once the pit stops all worked out, we figured it was a two-way fight at the sharp end of this one, with Urra and Serrano for victory. Then we saw De Bruyne picking up some penalties at the end of it, and it was Gallo and Miyazono, the drivers who were on the charge at the end of it, up until Gallo made this mistake right at the very end of the race, out of the Della Roggia chicane. And you can hear the crowd there. Pol Urra, meanwhile, came through to take his first win since LA in 2025. A great start to life in the Nations Cup for the 21-year-old Spaniard. 6 points on the board, the lead of the championship ahead of his his compatriot, Jose Serrano.
I gotta say, Tom, you know, like, this is the difference between the champions here and those who just can't quite get there right now. It's just how they adapt to that pressure at the end of the race. We saw Kai De Bruyne falter. We saw Valerio Gallo falter, someone who has won this before, but obviously the pressure getting to him a little bit. We saw Moreno falter. He's a rookie. It's his first time here. Pol Urra, Jose Serrano, Takuma Miyazono, absolutely solid. And there they are. Top three, well deserved in my opinion.
Sensational. Pol Urra takes first blood in 2026. What an absolutely superb result as he now leads the championship. Let's go down and catch up then with the winner of the Nations Cup here in Milan.
Let's give a huge round of applause to Pol Urra, everybody.
Good job.
Thank you.
I mean, all right, talk us through kind of like, what was your kind of emotions like, you know, going from like the qualifying, then to the sprint, then to this, like, what was happening?
Yeah, for qualifying, I was I was in P8, so I was a little bit hesitating about what to do. But then in the sprint, I took advantage of the incidents that occurred. I don't know how, but somehow I found myself in third place.
Apparently you're supposed to have a very restrictive horsepower and then you do quite well.
Yeah, I don't know, but I kept third place, then gained second place. And then the final race with Red Bull was following Samuel in the beginning. I didn't want to attack him. I wanted to escape, break the group. Suddenly he spun. I wasn't expecting it, and I had to focus myself now to set the pace. It was very important not to penalize, so I'm glad of how I managed it. Yeah, only one I got. Yeah.
Ha fatto un ottimo lavoro, chiaramente gli ha chiesto come passare da una posizione non favorevole chiaramente a vincere una gara e lui chiaramente dice è andata molto bene, è stato chiaramente difficile, però complimenti, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. What do you think about when you're racing? Okay, the final race is there's a big pressure. Okay, what's your focus?
Thank you.
Grazie.
Yeah.
In Italian, it sounds like, you know, in like America, the guys are like, "Urra," right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, when I found myself alone in first place, you really have to focus because you have the pressure from the guys behind, and I tried to open the gap, and in the end I was literally not risking anything at all. Jose was catching me, and I was like, I don't want to penalize, I don't want nothing. So congratulations to Jose, congratulations to Kai. No, sorry, who finished third?
Oh, God, Miyazono.
Miyazono.
Yes.
Miyazono, and I would also say a big applause for Valerio because he did great. So
unlucky at the end.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Gallo, come on in. How are you doing? Valerio Gallo, everybody.
Valerio. Yeah.
Valerio, it was some great racing. It's just, I mean, the competition is tough. Obviously, you've got this amazing crowd who are all, you know, rooting for you, but it's just a bit unfortunate towards the end. How are you feeling?
Of course, mixed feelings. I know myself, I'm quite hard, on my mistakes, but I think it's also part of my growth, let's say. Like, I'm trying to work hard also on, let's say, slap the bad moments away. And because I think, I feel like that I was confident in the race. I was always in the zone. So yeah, of course, it was about just one more lap situation to keep it in. When I got the penalty in the last lap, you know, it was becoming difficult because I was looking for the podium, of course. So yeah, I had to deal with the tires, but nevertheless, it was a great race from my side, despite, you know, the little and bad mistake. But yeah, and congrats to all the winners and to the podium finishers.
Valerio, puoi dirlo in italiano, è il tuo momento di parlare in... Valerio.
He's not listening to you.
Valerio, puoi dirlo in italiano, puoi dire qualcosa in italiano, vai.
No, vabbè, ci tenevo a dirvi grazie comunque che siete venuti, perché siete tantissimi. E dico anche che secondo me poi questo fa la community, quindi siamo tantissime persone che si aiutano, ci sono tante squadre, tanti ragazzi che crescono, e quindi io penso che queste gare possano, insomma, anche aiutarci, no? Aiutarci ad imparare ad andare avanti, e io spero che anche come me tanti altri possono, insomma, fare questo percorso. E quindi vi ringrazio, perché grazie a voi.
Grazie a te, Valerio.
Grazie a voi. Perché questo mi dà lo stimolo, mi dà la forza per andare avanti, e quindi vi ringrazio. Grazie.
Valerio, the thing is, Valerio, and like Pol, every single post Gran Turismo World Series party that we have, I've spoken to you sometimes, I've spoken to you sometimes, I've spoken to every single one of the competitors here when there's just been something that's happened. And it's happened to every single, like, all of our top drivers have had those moments, and they've always come back stronger. And you are consistent. You're always consistent. So it's just, you know, last time it was you, the other time it was Miyazono. It happens all the time. And yeah. We know that. Yeah, but you're one of our top drivers. It's going to be great to see how you do for like the rest of the year.
Thank you so much.
But okay, we need to throw it back upstairs, but let's give a huge round of applause for our competitors for the Nations Cup!
Fatevi sentire, Milano! Pol Urra!
Well, it's not only the mark of a great driver, but also a great man to be as magnanimous in defeat as Valerio Gallo. What a race that was. Pol Urra taking top honours in the opening round of 2026 ahead of Jose Serrano. Miyazono there in P3 from Kilian Drumont. And then Kai de Bruin P5 ahead of Ryota Kokkoman, who snuck in for the final point.
Where did that come from? I guess it happened when Gallo had his problem there. Sorry, that was me missing that. But yeah, Kokkoman there. I mean, we didn't really speak about him at all in that race, did we? But one more point for him. He'll be happy with that. His season's off to a start. At least it's something.
Absolutely, and it's returned to the championship. Let's not forget, after a sabbatical. Gallo there, as we know, disappointed to miss out, but great job from him. Likewise, San Marino. What could have been for the Spaniard, who led so commandingly in the opening stages of that, but a mistake, really. Started that snowball effect, and from that, he never really recovered. P8 at the checkered flag from Cardinal Benelli. Guy Barbara, and then Adriano Carrazza completing the finishes here in the Nations Cup. And of course, unlike in the Manufacturers' Championship, we will see these same 12 drivers over the remaining 3 events this season, right up to the World Finals when we head to Tokyo at the beginning of December. Don't forget to vote for your Dunlop Driver of the Day as well. Is it Pol Urra? Is it Jose Serrano? Or is the fan favourite Valerio Gallo going to have at least something to smile about after the end to that race?
What do you get for Driver of the Day? Is it just like a hat?
The good feeling inside your heart, I think.
Oh, you can't sell that?
No. If you could, it'd be worth $1 million, I reckon. Well, we'll wait and see how that all works out, shall we? Dunlop Drive of the Day, don't forget to vote for that on YouTube. But now it is time then for our podium celebrations to begin here in Milan. What a great way to kick off the 2026 Gran Turismo World Series. Please welcome in 3rd place in the Nations Cup, it is Takuma Miyazono. Great job from the Japanese driver to return to the rostrum once again after finishing P2 in the Nations Cup last season. 2nd place, it's the 2025 Nations Cup champion, kicks off his season in spectacular style. Jose Serrano finishes in 2nd here in Milan. And the winner of Gran Turismo World Series 1 here in Italy from Spain, give it up for Pol Urra! Maximum points after Pol Urra's victory here tonight. A sensational result in front of the crowd in Milan. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to please stand if you're able for the national anthem of Spain. The national anthem of Spain plays out for Pol Urra, the winner of the opening round of the 2026 Gran Turismo World Series. And now it is time for the trophies to be presented to our top 3 finishers here in Milan. Presenting the third place trophy from Fanatec, it's Tobias Stelzer. He makes his way onto the stage. And the third place trophy is, of course, awarded to Japan's Takuma Miyazono. Points on the board and a first podium of the season for Miyazono-san then. Second place trophy presented by Hiroshi Hamada from Dunlop as he makes his way onto the stage once again to congratulate the competitors. And P2 here in Milan is awarded to the reigning champion, Spain's Jose Serrano. Welcoming onto the stage, the Gran Turismo Series producer, Kazunori Yamauchi. The winner's trophy awarded for the first time in 2026 to Spain's Pol Urra! Go that way.
It is so busy in here. Normally we do the end of the show from in the middle, but we can't get there. That's how busy it is. Well, welcome to the front, guys. How was that racing for you?
It's been nice. We've been in the basement for the entire time, but we can still hear these guys. They're so loud down there. So it's, yeah, it's nice to be involved in that way, at least.
Yeah.
Mega, and what a way to kick off the 2026 World Series. I know this is our 9th year working together, believe it or not, but
I feel that, Tom. I'm just kidding.
It's true. It is true. Honestly, it never gets any less exciting. I mean, not just in the Nations Cup just now, but also the Manufacturers' Cup. Brilliant racing for all involved, and I have to say, hands down, the best crowd we've ever had.
Definitely hands down. Brian, how was it for you? Our baby.
Oh my God.
Gran Turismo baby.
Guys, really, I want to thank you because you are great team, great show. This was the first time for me. A lot of emotions and I want to thank you. E voglio ringraziare tutto il pubblico italiano, siete stati fantastici.
Amazing audience.
Did you like Italian audience?
Can we not get buses to bring them to all of them? Because I feel like this is incredible.
It's going to get expensive.
I mean, yeah, but like, what? You don't put a price on a crowd like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be factored into the budget. But of course, this is only round one of, well, many, many more that are still to come. We obviously have round 2, which is in Tokyo. We have round 3, which is in Singapore. And of course, our grand final in
Tokyo.
I just had that moment of like, am I supposed to tell anyone? I know I've seen the paperwork.
I've done that before, don't worry about it. Yeah.
Accidentally yeah.
Exactly. No, but honestly, I cannot wait for the season to continue. It's going to be such a thriller.
And also, how crazy is it we've had like 2 brand new drivers come in and literally challenge our best right off the bat. That just goes to show like the levels are getting kind of higher and higher online.
Yeah, it's not easy for these guys. You can't just turn up and win it. And I think it goes to show that at every point there's someone there just nipping your heels, waiting to take your place. That's the beauty of these events.
I've never seen Serrano so shaken. He looked a bit worried there for a minute, like a little on the brow. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure to host the show here in Milan. Italy, you have been amazing. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing round 1. Thank you to Brian.
Thank you, Jules. Thank you, everybody. Grazie a tutti. Vi saluta l'Italia. Vi vogliamo bene.
Thanks to Tom and Jimmy. Thanks to all the GT World Series team. We will see you next time in Tokyo.
PlayStation